Hello, friends, and welcome to another Royless episode of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. This is your friendly neighborhood Glazer, as always, here for another wonderful long show with you. But we cannot have an episode with only one teacher. So our first special guest for today is my favorite teacher in Marvel Snap. It's Jessnapz. How you doing, Jess?
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me and Happy New Year. My name is Jess. I'm also a teacher. I teach elementary school and I love Marvel and of course Marvel Snap and I am active on X and Twitch and you guys can find me there.
What's your username down there?
Oh, it's Jessnapz. Jessnapz.
So I had to make sure it wasn't Jessnapz. I figured since she's a teacher, she might just be going to sleep all the time.
Yeah, I would love that.
We are also joined by the absolute master of Marvel Snap. It's the Master Not. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, very excited to be here.
Happy to have you. And how can our friends find you?
Yeah, well, I stream on Twitch. My stream Monday and Wednesday evenings, Pacific time, but I guess that works Eastern time as well. And it's the master_not. Sometimes that matters to find. And same thing on X. I prefer to call it Twitter, but I guess people are calling it X nowadays.
I call it Twitter. I exclusively call it Twitter. There's a slide later which is like, find them on Twitter. It's just like, because I can't say, I'm going to go make an X. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, Twitter got a nice verb form.
To be fair, when you type in x.com, it still reroutes you to twitter.com. So
correct. Also, Elon lost his mind, so that's neither here nor there. That last voice you heard was, and you might have heard everyone talking all sorts of stuff about Revis's Sarah deck. That's not the one I won with. I won with this gentleman's Sarah deck. Hitmonkey for life. It's PhilJWoodward. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing very well. Hello, everybody. Yeah, that Hitmonkey deck has been so much fun for me. So good. I was so hyped when you decided to put it on the show.
It's so good. And you have Echo in that one drop slot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because screw and Terrorbang and his silly Spider-Ham.
I did mess with the Spider-Ham version that Intero put on there, though, and it was fun, except there's so much high Evo going around right now that I hit Infinite every single time. So I went back to Echo.
That sounds right to me. Yeah, I played Echo in that slot. All right, how can our friends find you, Phil?
Yeah, so I'm mostly available on X at Phil, PhilJ Woodward, and that's the letter J, WOODWARD. And then I'm also available on Twitch, hopefully coming back soon to stream at PhilJWoodward, so just PhILLIP. The rest is the same. And you can also find me at Simply Sassy Vids on YouTube, where we interview cool people like, Tommy Earl Jenkins from Death Stranding, or Rahul Kohli from Fall of the House of Usher, and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Carry on, my Woodward son. All right, so you can tell that. Has anyone ever said that to you? Because that was the first thing I thought. All right.
Great.
Yeah, I'm a teacher, so I have to come up with all this bullshit off the top of my head. Okay. You can find us on Twitter, because I don't want to curse this early into the episode. YouTube will get mad at us. We can curse later, just not the first 10 minutes where YouTube's like, you're cursing. You can find us on Twitter at SnapJudgeCast. That's the only place where there's an E in our name. We are Snap Judgments without an E elsewhere. We are the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We hang out mostly on the Marvel Snap Zone Discord. I know I'm using the royal we, and there's no Roy here, so it's a little awkward. Sorry. We have a little channel there called Podcast Hang with the Hosts. It's a really, really great community. It's usually a lot of people that are just starting their climb into serious Snap, and then within a month or two, everyone hits Infinite. It's a really great feeling because everyone's so supportive and helpful. And the main place to find us is Snap Judgments Pod on YouTube, where I release 6 videos a week of 40-ish minutes each because I'm a crazy person. Don't ask, but you can get 3 brand new decks there every weekday. So if you want to check that out, please do so. I will probably throw a thingy up in that corner. Not that anyone can see where I pointed because we don't do video for these, but it's up in the corner if you happen to be watching this on YouTube. All right, let's keep it going. Our topics for the week are, we're going to talk about last season as quickly as humanly possible. Then we're going to review the next new season and the patch leak. And then we're doing one more thing that's not even on here. Because this morning they decided to drop a freaking roadmap on our heads because like this episode wasn't busy enough. But everybody ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Last season card review. And the order you guys are on my screen, just so you know, are Jess, the Master Knot, and Phil. So I'm just going to start in that order. Shaw, Blob, Havoc, and Celine. Overview of the cards, and what do you think of them? Jess?
Okay, so sure. I think it's really fun at the beginning when I start to play him. It's a card that you have to like build around him. Like you have to add cards like Skaar and Caiera, like Chafas to up him. But as the season went on, I found it harder and harder to win game with Shaw. I don't know, maybe people have started to switch to Thanos Blob, which can go super high, and yeah, it just became a pain when I tried to finish my weekend mission with Shaw. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I had a little bit of a problem last month. I was very busy, so I didn't play as much as I normally do, but I did play Shaw. And I totally agree with what you said. Like, he was a lot of fun at first. He really fits in Surfer, obviously, but kind of lost interest in him. I mean, he's still a solid card for that. Like, not like he's not good, but just kind of, I don't know, not super exciting to me. I mean, the Blob is a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what Second Dinner does with that, because I'm not completely convinced that, you know, he's so overpowered, but maybe he's a little overtuned. Unfortunately, Havoc and Celine, I didn't really play them, so I can't speak too much to them. I don't know about you, Phil.
Yeah, so Sebastian Shaw, for me, I feel like he suffers from being pigeonholed into the Surfer archetype, but I feel like he has openings outside of that we haven't discovered yet. I've been playing a lot with trying to pre-build his power to 10 for Skaar, which has been kind of fun to play around, but it also can feel like it comes too late, just like most builds I've been playing with so far. But as far as that season is concerned, yeah, he felt very much tied to Surfer, and you really couldn't go outside of that for most decks, which made him feel fun as a card to play with when you were playing his deck specifically, but I wish he had a little bit more global appeal outside of Surfer decks. And then as far as Blob, once Blob came out, I mean, we are now in the Blob meta, so I think that's all you really need to say about the monster that is the Blob. And then Havoc is a very interesting card. Originally, when we see the data mines and stuff like that, we think about the cards and what they're going to be like, and I thought he was going to be terrible. And then I think he's actually one of the more fun cards that Second Dinner has produced. I think he's got a very interesting effect. And whether he's being sent to your side or you're getting him from the X Mansion or whatever, it's interesting to work around playing with him and feeling out how you can build decks to make him work. And I think that's a lot of fun, and I found that to be interesting for building. Is he a good card? I would probably spend tokens if you have a ton of them, but I wouldn't waste keys on him unless you have multiple things you're getting that week. But yeah, I thought he was a fun card. And then Celine, aside from junk, I feel like she's got a lot of potential, but we haven't quite discovered what all the different use cases for her are yet. But I did have fun playing her in junk.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jess.
I actually got Havoc, like I wasn't planning to buy him, but then I got him because I knew that weekend you get 400 tokens. So I actually got him with tokens, and I really enjoyed playing him with Mr. Negative. And with the Professor X nerf, he also fits like perfectly in that deck. And Celine, I got her with keys, but yeah, right now I just feel like Celine, if you get the combo in your hand, that would be like amazing. But if you don't get Hobgoblin, Green Goblin in your hand, I just think Celine just sits there in your hand. Yeah, maybe there will be more cards in the future that we can play Celine with, but right now I think she's just okay.
Although I will say it is super annoying to get hit with a -11 or a -6. Mm-hmm. You know, a -6 3-cost card or a -11 5-cost card. That's
wait. But Green Goblin costs 2 and Hobgoblin costs 4. Are you not playing Ravonna in every deck? Because I'm playing Ravonna in every deck.
Well, that's true. Like I said, I haven't played Celine decks much, but I just know that they're played against me.
So I'm going to feed you guys a hot take for each of these cards. You agree, disagree, or qualify. Cool?
Sure.
Ready? Card 1. Sebastian Shaw is only good because they nerfed Werewolf. Jess?
Yeah, agree.
Oh, agree. Nice.
Agree.
I disagree.
Fire.
Well, I just think, I mean, having Werewolf or Shaw in your deck could be an in your Surfer deck at the same time could be interesting.
It ended up not working because all the cards that synergized with Shaw also synergize with the Brood. And the Brood and the Werewolf didn't work together.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't tried it, so.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
I love that Werewolf deck. I love that Werewolf deck. All right. Blob hot take. Ready? Blob needs to be nerfed even though he's really fun because he breaks the math of Marvel Snap by going too high without a caveat. Jess? Yeah, disagree with you.
It's actually quite easy to counter Blob. Like, people hate Blob, but because last season I used Sarah Tech, like there are lots of ways to counter Blob. You just need to lose initiative to Shang-Chi or
not anymore. Shadow King. Not anymore for Shang-Chi.
Caiera.
Really?
Caiera.
Oh yes, because of Caiera.
So
I forgot about that.
There's two ways to counter Blob right now. Shadow King and Valkyrie. And I guess win initiative and Goliath. And Cosmo.
Right.
But like,
yeah, forgot about Caiera. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, agree.
Changed. Masternaut?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when you can play him out as opposed to Infinite, for instance, and you have to skip a turn to play him, it's just kind of crazy.
Phil?
I agree. I definitely have posted as recently as earlier yesterday, I think, about how I feel about Blob and the fact that he can just be a 6 power, 36 or 6 energy, 36 power card pretty easily. And yeah, it definitely disrupts a lot. Yes, he's counterable, and yes, there are going to be games where you're easily going to be able to predict where they're going to play him. But I feel like on those games where you can't, and especially now with current cards coming out, it's definitely made it a lot harder.
All right. Havoc, and this hurts because I love Havoc. Like, I love Havoc. But you basically play Havoc on turn 5 to be a 3/8. At that point, why not just play Gladiator? Jess?
Disagree. Because Havoc you don't have the potential risk of pulling something really big of your component, and Havoc can actually get reasonably big, because it's a +4 turn 5, and it would be 8 power turn 6.
TMN?
Right?
Yeah. Masternaut?
Yeah, I would disagree. I mean, I think it depends on the deck. Because like I was playing today And I can't tell you the number of times that they played out Gladiator on me and my Infinite popped out.
Yeah, Gladiator should be out of the meta for a week.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I get it. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, like, if you have a build that you're specifically building around or keeping Havoc in mind, I haven't played him a lot, so caveat with what I'm saying. But if you're adjusting for that loss of power or of energy, I mean, it just depends on the build, I would say.
Phil?
I agree with the Masternaut and Jess that it depends on the deck that you're playing. Depending on, if you're playing negative or something that gets him out in a different way, or that is built around playing him on turn 5, like Wave Havoc on turn 5, something of that nature. And then you're throwing down a, Dr. Doom and another card on turn 6. When you're doing it that way, I think he has a special place. But yeah, if you're just looking to put 8 power on the board and you don't want it to be Shadow Kinged, then yeah, absolutely, Gladiator is the better choice, especially if you're throwing him down on a Cosmo. But I think for the most part, I would say that he has his use case when you're playing him versus something like Gladiator.
All right. Last one, Celine. Celine is proof positive that there must always be a 1-cost booby prize in Series 5. We had Snowguard when she was terrible. When she moved down, we got Howard, who was terrible. Now, Howard is going to Series 4, and we have Celine as our bad 1-drop to get in Series 5. Jess?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Masternaut? Oh, you want to keep going? I'm sorry.
Yeah, let Masternaut go first.
Well, just going off the cuff here, I would say that I don't always agree with some of the conspiracies or thoughts or things they say against Second Dinner. However, I don't know that it's always a 1-drop, but I definitely think they're aware of what cards, they're putting out, and not all of them are going to be the best. And they're going to, if you get what I'm saying. I mean, yes, I think you're right. I think you're right about that in a general sense.
Phil?
I don't know about you, but yeah, it definitely feels like they love having that one card in there that you're like, nah, I don't want to spend tokens on that. 6,000 tokens, no way. But I do think she has more use case than original Snowguard or Howard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a long way between original Snowguard and good. There's a lot of road in there.
Just a bit.
All right, Jess, any thoughts, or are you ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
All right. So, general questions, and again, we'll take as many of these once as we can. What'd you play to Infinite? How did you get any Infinite tickets? How was your how high did you climb? Did you try to climb an Infinite ladder? How high did you get in Conquest? Did you get any Infinity borders? And is there anything else about the general gameplay and success or so on in the season that you have to say? Jess? Ooh, never mind. Masternaut?
Yep. I'll go ahead and jump in here. So mine's pretty quick. I wasn't able to play as much last month. A combination of getting burnt out a little bit, just with the game itself, and also like streaming and stuff. That being said, I did not hit Infinite. I kind of fell short. So I never got to the Infinite ladder. I didn't play any Conquest. But I don't know. Last season was a little rough for me, despite saying that. I didn't have as much time, but it was kind of rough. But what I will say is those variants last month, though, oof, man, beautiful. I love the Hellfire Gala variants. But yeah, last month was rough for me. So that's all I'll say about that.
Nice. Phil?
Yeah, so you actually covered the deck that I hit Infinite with day one, and It was a Perry Manilow originally inspired by deck.
that one.
That utilized, since we lost Chavez, it utilized some other cards like Magic and Crystal to try and get your main cards to play. But essentially the idea was to throw down Dokken, hit it with a cost 5, oh my gosh, Zola, there we go, brain not working. And then have that spread to the other 2 lanes, and then play a MODOK on turn 6 to just hit all 3 of the shards and make him a ridiculous 32 power monster in 2 lanes. And it worked really well. I got infinite very fast with that deck last season. As far as my infinite ladder climb, the lowest I got was in the 4,000s. But generally speaking, I try not to worry about it. As long as I'm under 10,000, I'm happy with that. I love to play. I don't like to play specific decks all the time. I like to switch things up. So I just kind of play whatever fits the fancy of that moment and try and stay under 10K, which I did. So I was fine with that. And then as far as Conquest goes, Conquest is so hard for me because the games are so long. I live in an environment where I might have to get up, after I'm done with a game. So sitting down and dedicating myself to an entire Conquest can be hard sometimes. So I haven't got an Infinity border in a while. So.
All right.
And then as far as the game, I was going to say, as far as the gameplay for the overall season, Blob definitely changed things and the way things worked. It was really cool to see Thanos come back from the dead. And it's been tougher because there's so much power on the board, for sure. Like I said, I got Infinite really quick before Blob came out. But now that Blob's out there, he can tank a Dokken lane by himself in that deck.
Nice. All right. Jess, what'd you play? How'd you do?
So for me, Letter to Infinite, I like to experiment new cards in the new season. So I actually use a Sebastian Short Silver Server deck. And then in my 90s, I just want to be quick. So I switched to a Sandman deck where, while your opponents were playing multiple cards, I stopped them so that it was a very quick climb to Infinite. Infinite Leather, I didn't play much. So I think I fell to 50,000 at the end of the season. But yeah, I don't care much about Infinite Leather. And in terms of Conquest, I actually won an Infinity border this season. I turned the Christmas Rock into the Infinity border. And I used the Sarah Tech deck by Rapus. And I was also quite lucky because of the blob meta. Four of the games were Thanos blob. So yeah, so Sarah Tech that had the perfect answer to that. And my third game was a Destroy player. So it actually, I think the matchup was pretty lucky for me last season. Yeah, and in general, I like the Hellfire variant a lot, but because I already spent a lot in the previous season with the Midnight Sun and Peach Momoko, so it was saving season for me last season.
Cool. Okay, so I hit Infinite with an auto-built Black Knight deck. The deck did not make sense, but it was good enough to win. I like to meme my way to Infinite. I played the Auto Black Knight deck. It ran both Hela and Apocalypse and MODOK, and it was a very strange deck, but it was super duper fun, and it's got a 40% win rate when I'm not playing it, but I've got a 70% win rate with it, so it makes me happy. I only play Infinite Ladder to do my dailies as a general rule, and I refuse to play any ladder during hot locations because hot locations are the absolute worst. So I ended up at about 7,000. I usually sit between 3,000 and 5,000 for most of the season, and then Infinite Conquest happens, and I realize that if I don't burn those tickets, I'm wasting all my resources. So I just burn tickets as fast as I can, which means I will just like, I'll have like 15, 17 gold tickets and I'll just be like, snap on round 1 every game, win or lose, let's go. And I did get an Infinity Border. It was an accident. I was like, I think this deck might be good. I went like 7-2 with it on ladder, and then I took a like pure original style bounce deck into Infinite Ladder, and it just kept beating everything. It's got like the worst matchup on Earth into Loki, but everything but Loki it beats the crap out of. So that was mine.
Nice.
Oh, Phil?
You literally have the same strategy I do for Conquest. It gets to like the weekend of the season, and then I just burn through tickets, and if I get a great spot, awesome. If not, I'm not worried about it.
Yep. So I played the bounce deck for real. I was like, I have 2 hours for, like, I never have 2 hours for on the weekend. I had finished writing my article, I had recorded the video, and I had like an hour or 2 hours, whatever it was, before I picked up my son. And I was like, all right, I get one real Infinite Conquest this season. And so it just happened.
And then I wanted to say one thing about the Helgala variants, Black Panther. That's it.
Oof, yeah.
No.
Baby.
Moon Knight.
No, I don't get that. I don't get it.
Get it black and white, and you will.
The Moon Knight is easily one of the coolest variants out of that season, but it's Moon Knight.
I mean, I didn't have to play it to be cool.
But I want to see it outside of my collection.
Then just play some bad decks. It's fine. It's not going to hurt. What are you going to be? Like, oh no, I'll be 9,000 after the end of the season instead of 7. Like, who cares?
I mean, to be fair, I say that, and I'm talking about Black Panther being the best variant.
Yeah.
Which also barely sees play.
Oh my god. I've got a Black Panther conversation for later. Let's keep going so we can get out of this, get out of last season. All right. General thoughts on any or all of the above. Series drops, Conquest and Controversy. Please note there is a right take for that controversy. Albums, bundle changes, or anything else.
Happy about series drop for sure. Cause it's just make cards more accessible to all players, especially to free-to-play players. I'll be getting Stack Run for free finally, so I'm also happy. Albums, I've been complaining they're very expensive, but yeah, some good news coming with the roadmap. Hopefully it is like good enough for me to get some new emos. Bundle changes, yeah, I'm actually quite disappointed with the big changes. I think people do use the data mine to plan ahead what they're going to buy. So if there's a big difference, like people get disappointed. But having said that, I actually still got the Christmas bundle because I like the variants of Destroyer and Sentry. So yeah. What about you, Masternaut?
You actually summed it up pretty well for me. I think I pretty much agree with everything you said. The series drops. I mean, I kind of understand why they haven't been happening. It's just kind of like was a kind of a sucky situation, but now that they're back, that's awesome. I'm mostly collection complete, so it doesn't really affect me much, but I think it's important for the community to have those happening. Like it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, the albums, I feel the exact same way. There's just so many variants that pop up in my shot that are part of those albums, and I'm just like, I don't want that. I'm not Ken. I don't need every single variant. It's just how I am. And so I'm probably never going to fill those albums. So it's just, I don't know. They're cool. It's a cool idea. I'm not crazy about how it is as of now. But yeah, pretty much those are my thoughts. What about you, Phil?
So as far as series drops, fantastic. I really hope that they come out at a little bit more of a consistent clip, even if it's just one card every once in a while that we get a series drop for, instead of a batch of them after however many months with no news at all. But yeah, I think that it's great that they finally spoke up about it and that it doesn't seem like it's going away completely. I do think it's a necessity, especially for longtime players. I've been almost collection complete for a really long time now, but I don't have Howard the Duck. He's the one card that's been evading me. And I finally have a chance to pick him up in Spotlights, coming soon, however. And then, just as a refresher, for Conquest and Controversy...
That should be Conquerors. I just don't know how to type sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Sorry about that.
So for Conquerors and the controversy surrounding that, we're just talking about representation.
Yep. Or you can just talk about Conquerors, the event itself. I don't really care. This is your floor. Everyone knows where I land on these things.
I mean, I instantly voted for the person that I thought was going to be the winner, which was Nina. And I was really sad to see her being the only woman to represent. And yeah, the representation overall wasn't fantastic. So I was really glad that they went back on that and added some other people. The people that stepped out, awesome. You guys are amazing. KM Best, shout out. I really hope they up the diversity on future events because it needs... There's so many great creators out there that could have been there, that are top level players that had a chance to win that weren't there even with the changes to the roster.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty simple. Like, I mean, I won't go on and on about it. You're absolutely right. There's plenty of streamers, content creators of all different types of people. We don't even need to focus on gender or races, whatever. There's tons of different content creators that could be involved. It's really not that difficult to grab a different group of people.
Yeah, I totally would like to see more diversity for sure, or it also doesn't have to be limited to just Marvel Snap content creator. It can be like everyone like who like Marvel Snap to participate in it. And something I would like to add is I've noticed they have added in some like premium mystery variant as a season pass reward and contract shop reward, which is I'm also happy about it because you don't get which guarantee that you don't get a pixel variant. So I'm sure a lot of players are happier about that.
All right, let's keep it going because I want to get to the new season. Okay. We are at the new season. Look, we're at the new season. It's Skaar time. Let's reverse order for the new season. We'll start with Phil, and we'll go backwards to Jess. How have your experiences? We don't have to read the card. You know what Skaar is. We'll read the cards that aren't out yet, but Skaar is in the game. You should know what Skaar does at this point, dear listener. If you are on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTuber, subscribe to us. Buy Skaar. Not because he's always great, but because season pass cards are incredible value. But, Phil, how's Skaar been for you?
Skaar, so far, is somewhat overshadowed by another card that came out this week. But overall, I think he's a fun card that doesn't need to be in every deck, and you don't necessarily want to build a deck around him. You want to fit him into a deck that makes sense, where he has the possibility to be a 4, to maybe be a 2. But at times, he can feel clunky, especially if they throw down a Mobius or something like that. But I mean, that's any cost reduction card that goes out there. I have found him to be fun, but I haven't found the spot that I would say, this is the deck for him.
Yeah, I agree. He's a good, solid card. I've been playing him in a Black Knight deck. I didn't make the deck myself, but it's a version of the one that's floating around that's very popular. I don't know who originally came up with that concept, but
it's a Zun's deck, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, it's a great deck. It's a lot of fun. I like it because discard is like one of my favorite, and it's changed, and I'm kind of sad about that. But Skaar fits in really well to that deck, and like Phil just said, I mean, he can fit into so many other decks as a good support card, one that you can take advantage of if the right circumstances come. But he's not going to like hinder you if you're not able to get him out cheaper. So yeah, I think he's good. I've been playing him a lot.
Yeah, I've been playing Skaar too. So on the first day, I was actually trying to play Skaar in the She-Hulk Hulk High Evo shell, but I actually didn't get much success in getting Skaar cheaper. So I have been playing Thanos Lockjaw with Skaar since. Yeah, the cheapest I can get is a cost 4. I think is good enough. But I am also happy to try him in other different decks. I saw some Ren decks with Skaar, but that I haven't got time to try yet.
So I don't like Skaar. I mean, Scar's great. I think he's a really good card, but he's not my type of card. I like to take a lot of game actions, and just dropping big shit's not really my style. And Skaar is by definition just dropping big shit deck. Yes, that's not what I enjoy. But he's really, really good. I've played 2 different Safety Blade decks, and the W deck, and then a few Thanos decks. And he's really good in all of those. There's a destroy deck, a pure destroy deck, that's basically using Venom, Deadpool, and Death as the ways to get Skaar out for super cheap. And look, if you can get on turn 5, and this doesn't seem impossible, right? Deadpool, Venom, and Death out, you've got a free Skaar on the last turn of the game. And that seems pretty good. But yeah, I'll send you that list later if you want. I just found it earlier today. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. But,
I'm interested to see that too.
It'll be in tomorrow's video too. Yesterday's video, dear podcast listeners. It's I when I was looking for weekend mission decks, I refused to just show the same 3 decks everyone plays, right? So I've got a Thanos decks, and I was I need to find something else. It's got a 67% win rate. It's just a low sample size so far, so it's worth at least spreading so people test it more, and we can actually figure out if it's good. Either way, Scar's good, and Scar's as bad as he's ever going to be this week, because this is the week everyone's going to try and counter him. So, if Skaar is still good when he's being hard countered as much as he is this week, then I think this is an extremely powerful card. I think there's the tier 1 season pass cards, which is shit that breaks the game, like Loki, Elsa, Ms. Marvel, original Surfer, original Zabu. I think Skaar is the tier below that, where he chills with Nebula and original Hitmonkey, where he's really good, but he's not going to be broken unless other things really support him. And I think that's a relatively healthy place.
Yeah, and I mean Mobius, he'll get played out against me. That's what messes you up, and I just kind of shrug and go, okay, I'll do something else. So it's it's countering it, but it doesn't. I don't immediately retreat. I mean that's the great thing about Skaar. You're just slotting him in to a deck where he can work.
All right. Further Skaar thoughts? Are we ready to go?
Oh yeah.
Okay. It is time for the other new card this week. It is Caiera. Phil, what you think of Caiera?
I love Caiera. I'm as someone who has played a lot of Zoo to just troll my opponents. I absolutely love Caiera being able to protect my 1-drops, and then that big 6-drop at the end, an orca in an empty lane for no reason. Why not? It's really fun. Is she cracked? Is she broken? I don't think we've had enough time with her to know that yet, but she does open up a lot of options for archetypes that may not have had as much of a place as they used to. I really want to play around with more destroyer stuff, since you can protect a good chunk of the board, throw a destroyer down. Turn 5, you throw down our wonderful pink marshmallow, and then blow it up with a destroyer at turn 6, and it sounds like fun to me with a bunch of 1-drops on the board.
Yeah, I haven't played her. I do have her, and she's on my list of things to check out. However, she's played against me, and I mean that teaches you just as much, sometimes more, when cards are played against you a lot. And it took me a few bad games to start remembering that she exists, because I was really counting on that. Shang-Chi dropped turn 6 several times. So yeah, I mean, very interesting card. The fact that she protects your 1 and 6 costs, because there's a lot in between that you can work with. But I mean, there's a lot of decks, like you were saying, Zoo or different things like that, where it'll be interesting to see in the long term what they do with her, because like you said, will she be overpowered? I don't know about that, but who knows what people will come up with.
I like her. I think she is a perfect fit for the high evo, like She-Hulk Infinite deck. They definitely better than armor because you can now play your 1-drops in different lanes. I just hope she doesn't get nerfed. I love her.
Oh, she's so getting nerfed. This
Yeah.
card is broken as all hell. She's getting nerfed.
No, don't say that. Don't say she's
okay, so she's a. Why on earth does she have 4 power?
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah, that is true.
Are you kidding? Like, she's like, okay, so stop me. Killmonger and Shang-Chi are both dead cards now, but also I'm positive in your lane. Like, no. That's gotta go.
You know what's really fun? It's something that's really fun is throwing down Caiera and then throwing down Killmonger and destroying all of your opponent's Thanos' stones.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I'm doing right now is I'm just playing Zoo stuff and not bothering, or bounce and not bothering to play her, just because Killmonger has been so scared out of the meta by her existence that just I can ignore the Killmonger as a thing. I still need to Shang will always be there because your double dinos and stuff she doesn't protect, right? So Shang isn't going anywhere, but Killmonger is just so dangerous right now unless you're playing Destroy. And there's still some stragglers playing Destroy, so I guess it's not perfectly safe, but that's fine. She's busted. She's just a really, really busted card, especially in Thanos, but kind of everywhere. She's in the best evolutionary decks now, I think. She's just a phenomenal card.
Oh, I mean, yeah, she's absolutely busted in Haiba, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played her much, so I haven't given her a lot of thought, but I did wonder when she came out or when she was announced that I was a little surprised that she wasn't restricted to 1 lane. It does seem pretty crazy.
I mean, she can't be restricted to 1 lane, then she's just worse armor, right? She has to be multiple.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know what the fix is, but
I mean, it's make her a 3-1 or a 3-2. You start there, or you could. So every time, or almost every time, they release a card that has 2 abilities, it ends up broken. Almost, unless one of the abilities is outright negative. If they release 2 positive abilities on a card, it ends up broken. Think Mobius. Think the Soul Stone. Right, 1 really good ability is usually enough for a game in its infancy, which Marvel Snap still is. So, yeah. All right, let's look at the Spotlight Cache. Okay, the question I'm fundamentally asking is twofold. 1, what do you think of the variants this week of Caiera, High Evolutionary, Nebula? And 2, who, if anyone, do you think should be opening Spotlight Caches this week? What type of player? Phil?
So I love this Caiera variant, but I'm not a whale, so there's no world where I'm going to spend or be able to spend tokens to get her and then also pull keys for this variant. But it's really cool. I've seen it broken out. It looks amazing. I have the High Evolutionary. I absolutely love the old comic style. The way they animated it is super fun. And the Nebula totally gives me Dragon Ball Z vibes, which I love. But I didn't pull her, and as someone that, again, doesn't have a ton of money to spend frivolously on keys and credits and whatnot, I wasn't going to be able to pull her. As far as people that should be pulling keys for this, if you don't have High Evolutionary, this is a 100% for me. If you have the chance to get Caiera and High Evolutionary, absolutely. Nebula's a little bit lower on the list, but she's still probably one of the best 1-drops in the game. So if you don't have her, it's also a good pull. 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. Nebula is one of my favorite cards. I mean, she's just 1 cost that gains 2 power if they don't play there. I mean, come on, it's great. But so if you don't have High Evo, absolutely, you got to get High Evo. That opens up a couple of decks that are just great. I basically agree with everything you said, Phil. Yeah, I got that High Evo variant. That's an awesome one. The comic book one. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I also agree with you. And Masternaut, this week is amazing. Actually, like everyone should open the spotlight, especially players who don't spend a lot of money, who doesn't have high evil and Nebula. Personally, my favorite variant is high evil spotlight. I love the animation of the comic cover. I think I would just, I opened it. I got Caiera and high evil. Nebula, she looks very cool, but I already have Rianne's Nebula, so I'm happy to dodge her this week.
So I ended up pulling this Nebula on my way to Caiera. I also got the 1,000 tokens, which puts me at how can I ever afford a card? 72,000 tokens currently. But I stopped before High Evo. I was like, whatever, I'll save the cash. My answer for variants is usually, do I have a hip? And if the answer is yes, then I'm happy. And I have a High Evolutionary hip and I have a Nebula hip. So I don't need to play any other cards for those. I am annoyed that all the cards coming out this season seem to only have one variant, the Spotlight variant. And I think that's really annoying because I was, before this week, 2 cards away from having a variant for every card in Marvel Snap. And now I'm going to be 6 cards at the end of the month because I'm not opening these Spotlights that I don't especially like because that's the only variants they're releasing.
So, wait. So Caiera's only variant is going to be the one in her Spotlight cache?
We don't know about is going to be, but currently is. There's no other Spotlight even Datamine right now. That could change next week, right?
Right,
yeah,
sure. There's
as
a patch
of now,
coming.
for none of the cards releasing this month, I believe, have more than one other variant currently in the datamines.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Really annoying. Because I don't like the design of either of these Caieras either. I want something... I know she's not going to be a colorful card, right? But, these are just kind of bland. I want something cool.
I'll tell you what, though. When that Iron Man mask pops off the card and you get to see it in full glory, it's pretty cool.
Is it? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, look, I'm not opening 4 more Spotlights to get to her. You know what I mean? If I'd use tokens, we could talk. But if opening 4 more Spotlights to get there doesn't seem like a good use of resources. All right. We are on to the mighty Hercules, and they did my boy dirty. One of my favorite comic cards. He releases next week, 1/9, Series 5, 6,000 tokens. The first time another card moves here each turn, move it to another location. Phil, what you got for her?
This makes me feel like when I opened Sentry for the first time, and I was like, how in the world could they have done one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe this dirty? And obviously, Sentry has come back and gotten a lot of buffs over time with new cards that have come out and a power buff overall. Anyway, Hercules himself, I am very sad to see that this is his ability. I think they definitely could have done something better for him as a character. And the ability itself, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation and people are going to have fun with it, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm going to say it right now. I'm not the best player. I'm not a real great deck cook, but these are the cards right here that come out that when I see them, I go, man, how bad am I? I don't get it. I don't get it. I agree with you, Phil. I'm sure somebody's going to figure out something really cool to do with it. As far as the lore goes, I don't know a whole lot about that in the Marvel universe. But
do you have Marvel Unlimited?
I do. Yeah, I'm slowly working my way through some stuff.
The Incredible Hercules is such a fun series.
Okay, cool. I'll put it on my list. I got a little list that I'm working through. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a big move guy. I mean, move is fun. I'm not against move, but I just look at this and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's about the attitude I have towards it.
For me, I actually only learned this character when I saw the Love and Thunder, like at the end of the post-credit scene. So I actually don't know much about Hercules in the Marvel comics. When I first look at this, okay, it's a move card. I did like think of some like cards that synergize with this. Like you could play Hercules on 4, Iron Fist, the voucher to Hercules location so that you get a double buff for the voucher, or Hercules on 4, Ghost Spider and voucher. So there are like possibilities to get your move cards big, but I just don't know if a cost 4 is too high for the interaction to happen. Yeah, so also I'm not a good move player, so like don't listen to me.
So I love move. It's like one of those like do a million things decks. That's like my exact jam.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I need it for my brain. Otherwise, like I'm just like I'm bored. So excuse me. I really, really do love move. He's got 2 problems. He could be 4 cost, but then it can't be the first time another card moves here. You have to be able to like cloak on him and just like popcorn things out. That would be super cool and make him worth 4. But as is, I can move 1 card there a turn, which means like my Heimdall turn isn't doing what I want it to, for example. And the other thing is you could just keep this ability, but then if he's a 3/5, I think he's actually decent because now I can play him with another card. And I think that would do a lot of the work for it. But that it's only once is a problem. Phil?
I think the other problem that I have with it is the fact that it moves it to another location. You mentioned Heimdall. Well, what if it goes to the left location? Then you're not even going to get the benefit of Heimdall. I guess if you play him left and then move him left,
yeah.
Then you're putting him in that and people are going to expect it. So I don't know how I feel about it yet.
He's bad. That's how you feel.
That makes me feel a little better to hear you guys say that because I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what the thought was behind this.
So he does have one use case. Like 4/6 is a decent stat line, right? He says you cannot, your opponent can't drop a Vision or Jeff to beat you at the end of the game in that location, which is like the ultimate fringe case. I'm aware, but it is a case.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah. I mean, it's a little unique idea that you're not going to put him in a deck specifically for that.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the spotlights that come with him. Hercules comes with a very cool Werewolf by Night and Philip's Duck Friend. Let's talk who should open these spotlight caches. Phil?
I mean, after the werewolf nerf, he is still good, but it really depends on how you feel about playing a lot of on-reveal cards and bounce, I feel like. And he can still become powerful, but I think overall, even for Howard, unless you're like me and you're just doing it because you want to be collection complete and you finally get the chance to do that through keys with Hercules and Howard, I don't know if I would go for anything this week, honestly. The variants are really cool, though.
Yeah, the same thought for me, unless for some specific reason you want one of these cards specifically, I wouldn't bother. I mean, it just doesn't seem that great. Unless you want the variant, I guess, if you have all the cards and you want the variants, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, same thought, because Werewolf got nerfed. Unless you really like the cosmetic of these spotlight variants, which is me, I like the comic cover Werewolf, and this is actually the week of serious drops. And I love the duck with the Infinity Gauntlet, so I am actually planning to get the duck with 3,000 tokens, and I'm going for this variant. So cool, I love it.
So I'm opening for Hercules, and if I happen to get Werewolf or Duck on the way, cool. I have both cards. Duck is, I have the hip which is, again, my standard operating procedure. But I also have the Noir, and I actually like the Noir better, because the rain is animated like it is on that Wolverine, and it's glorious. So look, I'm not going to turn down an Infinity Gauntlet Duck, but, like, it's not going to be my goal. I think Werewolf is probably firmly mid right now. He went from, like, the best card in the game to, like, a B-. But, have you guys seen, have you folks seen, I can't think of the name of it, Black Swan yet?
No.
So Black Swan is next month's season pass card and is data mined as, and we will thankfully know before I tell people to open for Werewolf whether this is still true or not. Is data mined as 2/3 on reveal. Next turn, your 1-cost cards cost 0. And
wow,
that seems like it breaks Werewolf, right? Like, if you can get Werewolf out, you have to play Zabu, because you need 2 turns to get Werewolf out. But if you can go Werewolf into that, that's like a 17 to 20 power Werewolf immediately. Phil?
That seems like it could be just another reason why they delayed Firestar.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would have been ridiculous for Firestar.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Right now, without that card, you on turn 5, you can play 5 1-drops, right? Make sure the last one is Forge. All you have to do is make sure the last one is Forge. Play Firestar. That's how much power? Right? Like, Firestar can't be printed. That card is, like, that's, I mean, 5 times 5. I'm not a mathematician, but
yeah, that would be crazy.
It seems, and, like, those cards all had original power, and then you're getting the 5 from Firestar, and it just seems like that's probably a problem.
I mean, even if you only got 3 1-costs out, it would be pretty. And you got Caiera sitting on the board,
well,
Right.
And then there's the idea of somebody having Wong on the board already. Like that. I'm not sad that we missed Firestar in some ways, but I'm also sad that we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, just watching it fast forward as the numbers went wee. But yeah, so Werewolf is going to be, like, completely nuts with Black Swan. So I'm resisting saying get it, but if Black Swan really says is A, Black Swan's going to get nerfed because that shit broken. But B, until it gets nerfed, that card is unbelievable with both Werewolf and Hitmonkey.
Yeah.
So that's where I land on it. Because, like, Hitmonkey will be like 20 and Werewolf will be like 20, and then you just don't have to care about anything else anymore, right? Like, that's your whole deck. Like, you throw a Mysterio in there just because, just in case. It's gross. All right, let us go on to. Oh, also, this Hercules is the only variant I like of the Spotlight Caches this month. I don't think I'm going for it, but it's at least, like, fairly dynamic. All right. Miik comes out on 1/16, our only Series 4 card of the month, 3,000 tokens. After each turn, if you discarded any cards, gain +1 power for each and move. It only moves once. The power comes all at once at the end of the turn, is how I understand it works. Phil?
I think that this is a fun card. I am very interested to see how people play with it. Other than MODOK, there's not a lot of ways to get big power. You're just getting that +1 each turn with discarding something. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see where he goes, how he plays, to watch him get destroyed by Fisk Tower when he finally gets to a 1/7.
Nah, that's not what Fisk Tower does, is it? I think didn't they change Fisk Tower? Am I crazy?
Oh, I thought it was just Fisk himself.
Kingpin.
Oh, not Fist Tower. Okay, my bad.
No, they changed Fist Tower.
I thought they changed Fist Tower. In my head, they changed Fist Tower.
He's -2, and isn't Fist Tower something ridiculous?
Yeah, I think it's like
-4. Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's for the upcoming patch notes?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So,
the ones that aren't real, except they released them, so they're totally real. I can't believe people are like, are these real? Like, yes, MarvelSnap.com released them. It's not like, what? Sorry.
That's even worse, though, because now you're going to just have like a -1/7 unless you're playing him just to throw him over the other side with a Nihilith or something.
It's fun.
Yeah, I have the same thought, basically. I love discard, and I think it's really neat. I think it'll be fun. But is it a great card? I don't know. My thing is I wish the move thing wasn't there. If it was just the gain +1 power, I think it would be like a somewhat solid card for discard. I mean, I agree. MODOK's obviously what's going to get it a lot of power, but the move one, I don't know if that's a lore thing they wanted to add in, but I don't really. They're really obsessed with moving cards around right now. Like everything's about moving cards around, and it's just kind of weird to me. But I'm gonna get it. I play discard, so I want to see what it can do.
I think Meek is an interesting card, especially when the ability sets discard and move. Like, are they trying to open up a potential for like discard move hybrid deck? I don't know. It's only 3,000 tokens. This is a 1-drop, but it looks like to me you have to play Meek on turn 1 to get the buff when you discard a card. So it's not like Morbius. You can discard and later play Morbius. You still get the +2 power. But in terms of discard, I do think there are better 1-drops for discard, such as Blade, Labular, Black Knight now. So I just don't know how good Meek is going to be, but yeah, it's an interesting ability. I don't know if I would get it 3,000 tokens, maybe, just for the sake to complete, to get my collection complete, but yeah, it might not be a strong card.
So if MODOK is good, this card is decent, right? Because then you have how many turns to play it? Like, you can play it anytime 1 to 4, and then it's basically always going to be a 1/6, and a 1/6 is a lot of stats. So, like, it'll be fine, right? Like, you're always discarding, like, 5 cards for MODOK-ish. If you're discarding, that's 1/6. People keep saying this is a way to reach unreachable locations with discard, and that's silly to me. Like, it's just, like, sure, maybe if you get extraordinarily lucky, but, like, a 33% chance of landing in an unreachable location doesn't seem like it's great. He's fine. Like, I think he's going to be fine in the exact 1 deck. So he's super narrow, but if you like discard. I don't like Swarm and discard anymore, because there's no America Chavez, so I can't, like, guarantee it for my Dracula, and I think Dracula is more important. So I might just replace Swarm.
With my luck, I'm going to use MODOK. He's going to go into the unreachable lane, and then my Dracula is going to tick, and then he's going to go out of the lane, and then he's going to go into the Dracula lane, basically putting way too much power in that lane, and just wreck my entire gameplay.
Wait, ready? Are we sure he works with Dracula? What does Dracula say at the end of the...
At the end of the game.
And BX says after each turn. I have no idea if they work together.
Oh,
I keep meaning to ask Browde, because I'm pretty sure Browde has asked this, right? But, like, I haven't. As one of you guys gets to read the. Actually, let's go. You guys, who should open this week? Also, note Annihilus for the Preserve discussion will be a 5/5 that only sends negative cards. It's Miek, Annihilus, and Phoenix. Phil, go. I'm going to message Browde.
So for me. I'm going to probably get Meek with tokens. I absolutely love these variants, but being a mostly free-to-play player, I really want to try and stay collection complete, which means saving keys and trying not to submit to the FOMO of variants. But as far as Meek is concerned, I'm going to have fun experimenting with hybrid move discard, where I put Craven on the board for some stupid reason and see how that goes. But Annihilus, if you love junk, is a must-have. He's a main part of the
I'm 7 years old.
Now.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But if you have him... if you don't have him, he's essential for junk right now, so absolutely go for it. Phoenix Force, even though they made Phoenix Force kind of broken, at the same time, it's still a hard card to achieve the overall ability for, which can make it kind of niche. So unless you really want to experiment with Phoenix, I feel like mostly this week is a pass for me.
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. I feel like I keep saying that, but I mean, sounds like we're all pretty on the same page. I mean, Annihilus, yeah. If you don't have the tokens, but you really want Annihilus, maybe you roll the dice. But other than that, I just don't see it. So that's about all I got.
If you got Celine, but because like some people on Twitter, they were saying, oh, I want Celine, but I didn't get Annihilus. Oh, I got Celine, but I don't have Annihilus. Yes, I think this week would be a week for you to get Annihilus. I love the details on that steampunk Annihilus, but I already have a 10 hit I'm happy with. So, yeah, it will be a week that I pass. I won't, I'll probably get Meek using tokens, and I will be saving keys this week.
Right. I'm getting Meek using tokens because, again, too many tokens. Whale problems. I just threw down my mic. Sorry about that. Apparently, my mic was very upset with my spending habits in Marvel Snap, as it should be. Annihilus, I think, is a must-have card, and what Annihilus's nerf suggests to me is whenever they make one of these nerfs that, like, we're always like, what the hell? There's something that comes relatively soon in the future that you're like, oh, you were future-proofing us. You just didn't tell us you were future-proofing us. You made up some reason. And, like Elsa, right? Like, Thanos decks, like, a week after Elsa are busted. Could you imagine if Elsa was still what she was? But even with the, like, +2 universally in a Thanos deck now? Like, those would be completely broken, right? Like, could you imagine Blob if they kept Luke Cage as he was? They were like, we don't want 2s to be universal. It's like, you don't want to break the game, so thank you. But, like, good excuse, right? Like, and then I keep having people be like, they don't want 2s to be universal at me as a citation for various things. I'm like, guys, that wasn't the reason. That was just not it. I think that Annihilus is going to break something relatively soon, and that's why they nerfed him, because they're getting ready for it. Because there was no outcry. Even if his win rate is high, like, it just doesn't make sense. So there has to be something there. And go ahead, Master.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that that it's interesting you say that, because I had the same. I never had a particular problem playing against Annihilus. I mean, sometimes they'd win, but oftentimes I just kind of shrug when they play out their sentry and this and that, and plug up the right lane. I mean, it wasn't that difficult. But you're right. I mean, a lot of times these nerfs happen, and then later we go, oh, they did have a plan. Not that we should always trust what they do, but I mean, they do know what's coming up. So they are the game designers.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, looking back, it's so easy to see multiple times where there was just nerfs, and like, I have those examples off the top of my head because they're recent, where there were nerfs that were just somewhat inexplicable at the time, and you're like, why would they do that? And then a month later, it's like, oh, like, they fixed Phoenix Force and Multiple Man, right? Just as the meta got to a point where, like, that wasn't going to be good. Just as they took America Chavez out and made it like that, I don't know, 10 to 15% more consistent, just as Shadow King became like the ultimate meta card because they got rid of Luke, and so Shadow King is in all these decks. Like, so they do these things subtly that change things. Phoenix Force is one of my favorite cards, and I won more with it when it didn't work with Multiple Man than I do now, and that's so annoying.
So annoying.
I love Phoenix Force. It's such a cool design. All right, whatever. It is time for Grandmaster. Grandmaster is 123. That's the date, by the way. Come Series 5, 6,000 tokens. On reveal, move one of your 2-0 for the record. 2 cost 0 power. On reveal, move one of your other on reveal cards here to the middle location. Its ability happens again. Hey, Phil, shoot.
So my big question that I want to know is the ability going to slip by Cosmo?
No.
So if you play Grandmaster,
I don't believe
right, but there's a Cosmo middle. So I think this card is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Good. No, its ability happens again. So, like, that means it's triggering its on-reveal ability. That seems like a triggered ability, which Cosmo should stop.
And somebody asked in the Discord, Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, and they answered that. They said, yeah, Cosmo will stop it. It will move to the middle location, but then the on reveal obviously wouldn't happen.
Okay. So my big thing about that was the thing with Nico, where you can change a location with her by placing a card, even if it's the deep space or something like that. It'll still change the location. So I wondered if it could be an interaction like that. So without an interaction like that, at least this card isn't completely busted. But I still think that there is a lot of potential for this card to be absolutely cracked. And it's going to see a lot of play, and it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the greatest deck cook, but it doesn't take much of a genius to look at this and go, oh, combos, lots of combos. So yeah, I mean, there's this is a good card. We'll see what happens in the future. This is a good card.
Yeah, definitely super interesting, and the fact that they made it a 2/0, it makes me think of Mr. Negative. When you do Mr. Negative, and you can do lots of like on review combos, but at the same time, you just have to watch out you don't clog your mid location, so that I just don't know if the move to the mid location is gonna trigger the on review again. So if it doesn't move, if your mid is clogged,
if it doesn't move, it doesn't trigger.
Right. So you also have to watch out you don't overclog your mid to make the on review trigger.
All right.
But yeah,
ready? Sorry. Go ahead. Fire.
Yeah, excited. Probably gonna get this card.
All right. Thought 1. Big card left, let's say. Nothing mid. Or let's say Nimrod left. Just regular old Nimrod. Cool? Plain old Nimrod. Maybe you forged it, maybe you didn't. Maybe you gave it some power in other ways. Excuse me. Ravonna is out in the right lane, or wherever the hell Ravonna is out. Last turn, you go Zola Grandmaster. Seems good. This is the Quinny Equinox. Quinny is a fucking genius. Quinny says, get priority. Play wave on turn, whatever it is, turn 5. Turn 6, drop Goliath left, along with Grandmaster. Eat both lanes before they reveal.
That's scary.
And then the fun one. Just the fun one. This isn't as good as the others. But you play Surfer over a lane that just has a nice big Sebastian Shaw. You have Brood in the right location. Surfer, Grandmaster. Watch the numbers go wee.
Yep.
And just, like, there's 50 of these. Those are just my 3 favorite. I've been collecting them. I love this card. This card's going to be so stupid.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be crazy.
All right.
Just real quick, another reason to throw Echo mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real good reason. Well, wait, what does Echo mid do?
Well, you probably drop Wong
Echo
mid. Is that
mid,
what you're thinking?
Stops Cosmo mid, stops.
I see.
You drop
It's
Echo mid.
Marvel
Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
That makes sense.
Grandmaster
Master player.
Yes.
No,
I was thinking that you were saying you should drop Echo mid, so that if they play Wong there.
Wait. If your opponent plays a goblin, you could shove a goblin mid and then back at them.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Oh god, I'm in love with this card.
It's like Odin all over again.
It's better because it's 2, and it's like, let's be honest, because Ravonna's in every deck. It costs 1.
I just meant for sending goblins back.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm in love. I'm just in love. This card's going to be so cool. All right. Let's talk about this week. Also, for the purpose of the discussion, Loki is a 4/6 that no longer works with Collector, but I think is going to still work with Quinjet. We could be wrong. Let's just assume it does for the time being. Hitmonkey is Hitmonkey, and Grandmaster. Who should open this week? What do we think of these variants? Let's go. This is such a big month. Sorry, go ahead.
Jess, did you want to start this one off?
Sure. So people who like Grandmaster, like I think everyone should open this week. If they also don't have Loki, I mean, like Loki get nerfed from the Reach pack. I feel like it sucks. It doesn't interact with Collector anymore, but I do think it's still a cost reduction card, and it still works with Green Jet. It would be strong, very strong still. Also, if you are a Rian lover, you must open this Hit Monkey. So, yeah, I would probably go for this week. President Loki. Okay. The cosmetic of this variant is also wonderful. I like it. You must not.
Yeah, I think this is a really good week. I mean, Hit Monkey, of course, is still a very strong card. That's a certain archetype. Loki is its own archetype. And then the Grandmaster, we just got done talking about it. So, I mean, obviously, if you get the Grandmaster, that is an awesome variant. I mean, like, outrageously good. That like is right up my lane. So, as far as cosmetics go, but yeah, the Loki one is wonderful. And of course, you got the Hit Monkey there. That's nice. So, I think if you don't have Loki and Hit Monkey, you should definitely be opening this up. If you're at all interested in those play styles. Yeah, great week. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, this is an absolute open for me. If you don't have Hit Monkey, there's a big reason to get Hit Monkey coming the week after this. And I am a big believer. Oh, is it 2 weeks after?
Yeah, this is a 5-6 card month.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot about Caiera being the same week as the launch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oof, that's so many cards. But yes, this is an absolute open. I think Loki, even after the upcoming nerf, is still going to be very good. He's still doing his cost reduction thing. He's still playing the other person's deck better than they are. And it'll definitely slow his tempo down, but I still think he's still a great card if you don't have him or if you didn't pick him up in the season pass. And like we said, Grandmaster is going to be crazy. It's going to be interesting because I think everyone's going to be playing Grandmaster, but at the same time, I still think it's a worthy pickup. So all three of these cards are great if you don't have them. The variants are great if you don't have them, or if you already have them. So I'd say this is an open week for sure, unless you don't care about variants and somehow don't care about any of these cards. Then just pick them up with tokens.
I think I'm picking up Grandmaster with tokens just so I can open this variant. I feel like that one's going to look great animated, right? Like it's him throwing a bunch of cards and just like the cards coming out of the 3D will look awesome.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm doing as well.
So, I like this Loki, but you can't split it. Right? Like, well, you can split it, but look at it. Like, what's going to happen to it when you split it?
You just
So,
like
like,
it.
Yeah. And I have a hip is my Hit Monkey answer. All right. Our last card of the month, Beta Ray Bill, comes out on the 30th of January. It is Series 5, 6,000 tokens. On reveal, did I say he's a 4/5? If I didn't, he's a 4/5. Shuffle Stormbreaker into your deck as an on reveal, same basic idea as Thor. Stormbreaker, on reveal, double Beta Ray Bill's power. And Stormbreaker itself, unlike Mjolnir, has 1 power. What do we think of Stormbreaker? Anyone want to go first?
I'll start on this one. This is the card that I was talking about for Hit Monkey.
Oh, really?
I think,
okay.
Yeah, I think that this is so much fun in the Jane, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, and having Wasp and Yellow Jacket, pulling all of them for the final turn play and creating a gigantic Hit Monkey along with a 10 power Beta Ray Bill and a 10 power Thor, and you already have your 8 power from Jane. And it is going to be interesting to see how that deck fares in the current meta with Shadow King being so prevalent and the power from something like Blob being so high. but I love that idea. I do think that it's going to be a little bit clunky to play him outside of something like that because he is 4 and he only doubles at the on the first time that you get to play him or play the Stormbreaker. But I love this card. I'm super excited about it. It may not be the best card that comes out this month. In fact, it may not even be close, but it's one of those cards that I personally am really excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited for it as well. I also think it's kind of interesting. At first, when I saw this, I was just like, oh, it's just a 4-power Thor. Okay. But actually, it's kind of interesting. If you look at it, it's kind of a combination between Thor and Dakin because it adds the Stormbreaker to your deck, which is not what Dakin does with the Muramasa Shard. But it doubles, whereas Thor adds 6 power. So it's kind of this interesting, you can forge him or something like that theoretically and you'll get more benefit than you would. So I don't know. I kind of like that idea that they kind of mixed the two abilities together. But yeah, I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I like these style of cards where they add a card to your deck or your hand or things like that. So what do you think, Jess?
I think this card, I like this card, especially I like how when it is possible to come together with a deck that has a theme, like what Phil said, like Thor, Jane, and Beta Ray Bill and everything. Like it's a good theme. The art of this base card is awesome. I think it looks better than the variant. It's a 4-cost. I think when you are able to play it, it might be a bit late. You only have 2 turns to wait for the Stormbreaker unless you play Jane. But you can also think of a deck that has Sabu so that you can play Beta Ray Bill early. It's definitely an interesting card. Many possibilities. Can you also possibly fit Odin for turn 6 where you can Odin the Thor's Mjolnir and Beta Ray Bill Stormbreaker? That might be another. Yeah, and it's also good for a lockjaw shuffle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many possibilities. Excited for this card.
So, yeah, Odin on Mjolnir and Stormbreaker isn't going to be easy to get all that in hand, right? It's a very specific curve of Thor, Beta Ray into Jane into Odin. But when it happens, it's plus 12 power on Thor and plus 15 power on Beta Ray Bill. So that's 27 power plus Odin's 8, which is one of the highest power last turns in the game. 35 power is a ton. An absolute ton. Plus, ideally, you've played Jane, and Jane is 8 power, Odin's 8 power. That's a lot of big power, and it's a lot of safe power, because you can probably throw priority if you're doing that. So I think that that's going to be really strong. I like it a lot. You have to obviously be worried about Alioth, because card game, not simple. But that, the Hit Monkey thing should be good.
Yeah.
That deck we already know works. I don't see why you couldn't give up a spot and just throw an Odin into that, and then one thing happens or the other happens and you're perfectly fine. I am fairly convinced about him. My one worry, and Min told me this. Do you guys know Min? Rito in Disguise Min was yeah, this may be good, but this also may be Black Panther with more steps. And okay, that's possible. But that led me to another thought, which is both of those cards really benefit from strength pumps, and we just got Shaw. So that we might actually be getting toward that, just cards like Nakia and Okoye and Forge, and then just running all of those together. And if we get another couple of those, then a Beta Ray Bill, Black Panther, Sebastian Shaw deck seems like it could be good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Further thoughts or ready for spotlights?
Let's go.
Spotlights. All right, so it's Galactus, and fuck, this Galactus is amazing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Elsa Bloodstone and a reasonably cool Beta Ray Bill. Who should open? Should anyone open? Is this an open week?
I can go first. I mean, if you still don't have Galactus, it's one of the big bets. Like, you should definitely open. And for the variant, yes, you should open it.
Yeah, right. Galactus is so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same. There's not a lot to add. That get that Galactus. I mean, if you don't have Galactus itself, you got to have him. But you remember the days when I never did, but when everybody hated Galactus.
I mean, I still hate Galactus, but that variant is unhateable.
Oh, Galactus is fun. Even when he's played against me and it works, I'm just like, you did it.
Look.
You did it. Good job. But yeah, you got to get this variant. That's amazing.
I mean, that's Kirby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like, I mean, they put Jack Kirby art on a card, so, like, I have to go get the card. I don't know, I'm not a complicated person. Sorry.
Just imagine the avatar for it, too. Just Galactus staring at you.
Look, I mean, so I wonder who drew that evolutionary, right? Because, yeah, whatever. I should look that up. I'm going to look that up as we get to the next thing, guys. Sorry about looking things up. God, that Galactus is good. So I actually don't think you should open this week if you're short on resources. But, because, like, Galactus isn't really good right now and Elsa's bad, which means you're just opening for Beta Ray and there's a lot of expensive cards and now they're releasing more cards than ever. But I'll be opening for that Galactus, which means I'm going to buy Beta Ray probably just because, like, actually, no, I won't. I'll just open 4 caches. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, I do think the animation's gonna look great on Beta Ray Bill, on this
Beta Ray
variant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, is he a horse?
I mean, yeah, he's a horsey man. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, quite. Yeah, it's a fun character.
Yeah, he's a race of horse aliens that was wiped out by Surtur, and then came and stole Mjolnir to go fight Surtur, and then got his own hammer. I like Beta Ray Bill. Walt Simonson is like one of my top 5 comic artists ever. So we're like, this is all about like my type of character. All right,
I'm in the same boat, by the way, as far as the caches go for that week. I say hold them. It's not a great week, especially with the place where Elsa is, Galactus is, and unless you're really excited about Beta Ray Bill, like I am, like I wouldn't worry about it.
But, like, look at that Galactus.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing, and I'm going to get
I'm going to keep coming back to that. Like, oh my god. Could you imagine? I'm not splitting that. That seems like a sin. But, like, I'm just going to get it animated and smile a lot.
Yeah, and you get Fantastic Four, too. You have Human Torch instead of Fantastic.
Yeah. It'll look great with the Infinity.
Yeah.
The bubble's going to float. The animation.
Oh my god. And then, like, all the, like, meteors and stuff and the planets in the background are going to float too. Like, I'm so getting this. And this isn't even the comic art that I want most. Sorry, Jess, go ahead.
It would just look perfect with the infinity border.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so perfect.
But wait for that Thanos Infinity Gauntlet one.
Oh my god, that is also super beautiful.
They're making a mistake by putting that in spotlights. They could be like, "Hey, here's this variant for $100 with nothing else. Will you buy it?" And I'd be like,
stop giving that this idea. Stop.
Look. They already. I guess datamines aren't official. Fine. Let's move on before I get it screwed over. All right. Today, our development roadmap released. We'll talk about a lot of the stuff as we go, but the roadmap is character mastery. Album improvements, in-game events, selectable card effects, selectable borders, new infinity splits, collectible reactions. That's all coming soon. We should have that, I'm assuming either some of it will probably come in this patch and then a bunch more in the next, 2. In development, Clans 1.0, collectible borders, booster vats, more event types, and in-game graveyard. And then in concept, and everyone always freaks out over in concept, and like nothing from in concept ever happens, but hey, whatever. New game mode, new game boards, clan competitions, ultimate variant evolution, and new card mechanics. Let's talk about these a couple at a time as we go through. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So, what are album improvements? Album improvements are fundamentally, and if you are on the if you haven't read these, it'll be in the show notes and it's on the Snap Zone. We have like it on screen on the Snap Zone slideshow, so if you want to check that out, please feel free. There are going to be smaller albums, more albums, easier to complete albums, and then coming soon are parent albums, and they're talking specifically about Dan Hip, which is my favorite art until that Kirby comes out and then that Thanos comes out. So I have like 109 hips. Parent albums are coming that will combine all the Hip albums and rewards, or all the Venom albums and rewards, or all the whatever albums. So more is coming for albums. What do we think of that? Let's start with the Master Knot this time.
Yeah. I love this, but in a weird way. So the albums aren't a big deal to me. But the reason I say I love it is because that's perfect for the type of person I am. I'm not going to put any effort into getting these albums. So the fact that they're adding more means that as that type of player or user or whatever, I'm still going to get a benefit from it, and it's still fun. And I feel like there's probably a lot of people, maybe not, but that are similar to me that I'm not going to buy 2 or 3 variants every week to try to get these, just to get these albums. So the fact that they're going to add smaller ones, will I get the big parent album one? Probably not very often, if ever. But for those that want that, that's awesome. But at least I'll get something, most likely. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm also happy because, like I said, I've been complaining about how difficult it is to collect the exact 12 variants to get rewards and new emo. It's annoying. When I was reading this, like, they get easier. Happy about the easier to complete albums, but I start to worry when I see parent album. So it means that they're encouraging you to buy more and more to get more stuff, which is not what I want. But yeah, but Master Knot also reminded me to look at the positive way. Yeah, you will get something because you will still open your collector's reserves. You will get variants. You will. Hopefully, it's gonna be easier for you to complete the smaller albums. Yeah, that's my thought. What about you, Phil?
As long as you're not thinking about albums as something that you need right now, and it's something that you're okay collecting over time, I don't have a problem with albums, but they do feel very, I don't want to say predatory, but they do incentivize you to spend money on the game. The Venomized variants themselves, a lot of them are 1,200 gold, which if you're buying gold is about, what, $20? Which is a lot to spend on a card in a game that you may not see very often. And to get rewards for that is great, especially when you earn the gold and you buy the one you want, and every once in a while you get a cool reward for that. That's awesome. But like you said, parent albums scare me. I don't like the fact that albums are card specific. I wish they were category specific. Like, oh, you got 12 Dan Hips. You finished part 1 of the parent album. But it doesn't sound like that's going to be the one. And I do find myself looking at the store going, oh, wait, is this a Venomized variant that helps me? No, it's not. And so I'm excited that they're expanding on it. I do hope they take feedback into account and do make it easier to complete some of these albums. But overall, it's just something that's in the background for me to accumulate over time.
I have nothing to add. Yeah, albums sure are a thing that exist in the game. They have to monetize something. Let them monetize albums. And, like, if people don't have self-control as much as I wish people did, then, like, so be it. Right? Like, they're not selling me... I mean, they are selling us extra cards. I'm more annoyed that they released an extra card this month without giving us a way to, like, 100%. Achieve more cards than this. Yeah. All right. Next up, selectable effects and borders. like there's a lot of words here for basically you could once you unlock a background and flare, because it's both, you can choose the border you have on it. That's all this is.
Love it.
And, like, I love it too, but like they definitely made it sound better than it was.
Mm. Did they say something like there will be new infinity splits too? Like not only ink and gold. Yeah, I'm super excited. And there was a leaked image of a galaxy split. Don't know if that's going to be true, but yeah, I'm excited for the galaxy split if that's real. Yeah, there are some cards that I definitely made mistakes like before. To press the upgrade button. Now I can undo it. I'm happy. I'm happy with this new feature.
Anything to add? We're all good? All right. Yep. Yeah.
I don't really have anything to add here. It's a great feature. It's cool. I'm glad that people are going to be able to put their blue border on an animated version of their blue crackle instead of it being a static 3D broken out image, because obviously the animations are really cool most of the time. So I'm glad people are going to get the chance to do that. But yeah, it's a cool feature.
So when it says collectible borders, are there like new borders coming out too?
I think that's going to be part of the character progression stuff.
Okay.
Coming soon are in-game events, which are fundamentally like leagues, which means you get to play a bunch of players, and whoever gets the most cubes in X amount of time, you're not playing against each other necessarily, but you'll be playing like just on ladder or wherever you play, and whoever gets the most cubes in that set amount of time wins whatever the hell they want to give us. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, go ahead, Jess.
No, you go first. You go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just my initial reaction is like, it's cool. I've played other games that have something similar. I think most people have, and it's a nice little thing that maybe you're not the best player, but you can compete in your little skill level. They say it's going to be based on people who are similar skill and collection levels. So, you know, you can try to get some extra goodies for that. I don't think it's like mind blowing or anything, but I like it.
I also like it. Like adding more variety to the game is always a good thing to attract many different types of players. Nowadays, like people finish Infinite in day one, like not me, but like a lot of people. So they are already done with Infinite. They jump to Conquest, and some people don't like Conquest because it takes a long time. It drains the brain. This is like a shorter commitment. It's a weekly, right? If I didn't, yeah, I didn't,
Yep.
yeah. It's a weekly challenge. It's a short commitment. You get rewards. It's a new style of play. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of players will enjoy this. And also, they have already launched Conquest and Infinity Ladder for Wild. I think people are, yeah, they are ready for some new things coming in the game.
Cool. Master?
I'm always a little sad when wording implies that some people will get something that other people won't for participating in something. Like, I get the idea of, you know, getting something because you're really good at the game and whatnot, but I do like the opportunity for everyone to get something out of it. It does say around your skill level, but at the same time, the idea that someone is going to lose is just kind of sad to me. I think it's a really cool idea. I don't know how it's going to play out yet, so I can't form a full opinion on it.
I think it's very cool. It's not going to be for me. I don't have time to like rack up a lot of cubes. It means time commitment, and I got the full-time job and the kid and the like 8,000 videos to make every week. So like I get my dailies done. I get to play a little bit extra for fun, but like I play and like I don't have time to grind out cubes. That's why I don't climb on the infinite ladder, and it's not going to change because of this. But like, hey, you know, some people are really going to love this, and then like 1 week we're going to get like I don't know, like Lambie and Dara and Safety in one league, and it's going to be really entertaining because like they're all going to stream that shit, and I'm going to watch it when I can, and like that seems entertaining to me. So I'm happy it exists, even if it's not really going to change my experience with the game. Cool. All right. Any further thoughts, anyone? Character mastery. Okay. So character mastery is weird. You can apparently now level up your cards. The first way seems to be just by owning a bunch of variants of it. So, hi, whales. And then if you own a bunch of variants of the card, you eventually get like special challenges for the card for further upgrades. And this leads to, what are they called? Emotes. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it, yes? Jess, go.
When I read this, my first feeling was, oh, it's just another album collection. And they were like, oh, you love Jeff so much that you're going to own all Jeff's variants. And I think for most players, like, this is not true. Like, most of the time we go onto like Marvel Snapzone or Snapclan to just check, oh, which variant is the best? I'm going to go for the best one. And you have a compare and then you get the one you like the most. And now they're asking you to buy other variants that you think, oh, actually you like that less, but because I want this character mastery, I have to buy other variants that I like less. So I'm not sure if I like this idea of like asking you to buy all variants of the same character, but splitting, when you split a card, you get rewards. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we'll see how it goes when it launches. But for now, I just feel like, they are asking you to buy more. Masternaut.
Yeah, I'm a little mixed about it because I see that perspective, but also something Glazer said earlier that they have to monetize something. They have to encourage monetization. You can play the game for free, although what I will say is I always, a side point, I always, in my mind, when I say free to play, I'm assuming you're buying the season pass. Like, to me, that doesn't count, but it does, but it doesn't. But anyways, I actually really like this. At first, yeah, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. I don't know what this is, but as a streamer, and I'm a new streamer. I pretty much only stream Marvel Snap. When you dig into the details here, it says things like, imagine, what does it say? A challenge to have Deadpool be over 100 power in a match. Well, that's something, and this is niche, I suppose, but some people like challenges just for the basis of it. That's a stream. Today, we're going to get Deadpool over 100 power. Like, I've never done that before. Let's do it. Like, those little things can kind of bring some new fun to the game. Even if you're not a streamer, they're just like, oh, today I'm going to try to accomplish this one thing to get the next level. So I think that's kind of exciting. It's true that if you're not spending some money on the game, you might not make a lot of progress. But we'll have to wait and to see exactly how that works out. Will there be a bottleneck? Like, you can't go any further until you get your 4th Iron Man variant? Or does it mean that is one way to get mastery and you can get it other ways? You don't have to buy a variant. It's a little slower. I don't know.
No, if they're going to use it to make money, just assume that it's going to be semi-predatory.
You're probably right. You're probably right. But anyways, that's my thought. It seems interesting, but yeah, I mean, there might be a bottleneck there for most people.
Phil?
I definitely like the challenges idea. And I think my biggest thing about the actual mastery from variants and splits is I hope it's retroactive.
Oh, well,
I hope that everything that everyone has bought and splits they've gotten already or count towards it. I assume, like you just said, that it will happen, but that's like the only real worry I have. But other than that, I think it's fun to have things to work towards in the background, even if you're not actively searching for them. If you get a 700 gold variant or a premium variant from some of the stuff that you open and it goes towards one of your masteries and you get excited about it, that's a cool feature. I think that's something neat to have. And I like the idea of challenges. 100 power Deadpool sure seems like a challenge, though. I don't know if I've ever actually seen one at 100 power.
You need Sherry's Lab or the current hot location.
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't done it. I've actually had it done to me a couple of times.
But anyway, yeah, I love the idea of challenges. That seems fun. Something to play towards. It's not just the average dailies.
So I like the challenges, and I think if you play enough and you spend at least a bit, you're going to have more random like masteries than you think. Like I've got 5 Black Widows, 5 Nebulas. I've bought one of each of those, but I've also got 4 Hawkeyes, and I've certainly never bought a Hawkeye variant, right? Like, I'm like literally like, that's what I'm looking through, and I'm like, oh, look, I have 4 Quakes because I just do. I have like 3 or 4 Scar. Like I have all these different just random cards that I have like a ton of variants for. I think every Enchantress in the game right now. So
sorry.
Go ahead.
I think I have all Mojo variants.
So congratulations, Mojo Master. I knew you had the Mojo.
No. Actually, I don't have Pixel Mojo.
Pixel Mojo's the best.
I know.
So good.
Like
I have Pixel Mojo.
Pixel Mojo is the best. I accidentally got a Mojo before they do the whole press feature with gold 1,200.
Ouch.
And I was like, no. And then I just got random Mojo's variants from collector research. So yeah.
So we're just going to be masters of the dumbest cards in the game.
Just as a counterpoint, though, with that is that I've spent an okay amount of money on this game. I don't want to talk about how much, but a lot of those variants I only have from spending money and going up the collection track, though. So if you're somebody who's spending little on the game, you won't have as many of those just random variants that you quote unquote don't care about, and then now they matter. So I mean, that is a factor that if you're free to play or you spend very little, you're not going to have a lot of those.
Yeah. I mean, so like, I don't hate them incentivizing us to spend money, right? Like, as long as they're not locking progression behind this. If you want, like, if you really, really love Wolverine and you're like, I have 18 Wolverine variants, great, good for you. Go have a cool little emote where he's got his head in his hands for some reason. Like, enjoy. Also, while we talk about that, by the way, these are the, for anyone watching on Marvel Snap Zone again, we have the, like, pictures of what they released. The Goose and the Wolverine. So I want the Goose. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't care about Wolverine. But I have an orange cat, so I must have Goose.
Oh, that's cute.
You know, one of my emotes for my channel, we have we have a kitten. Well, he's like 10 months now, but Winston, and I had the Goose variant, which is one of my favorite variants of the game, where the tentacles are coming out of his mouth.
Which one? There's a few.
Oh, like, I might be the Dan Hip one.
The Hip one.
I think it's the Dan Hip. I had an emote made. My cat's gray, but of that variant for an emote, and it's amazing. So, anyways, so I like these because they match that.
Are they gonna count a variant that was a season pass? Because like Rihanna's Goose.
Oh, good question.
Was only available during that season.
Yeah, they won't do that for albums ever, they said, but who knows for this?
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see. I mean, I hope not. Or, like, this could be where they don't have, like, specific, where it's just, like, do you have 4 variants of this card? You know what I mean? Like, as a way to get around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is, like, probably the thing I'm most excited about, because it seems so silly that, like, if it's really cool, I'm going to engage with it like crazy. Like, I will be the single best. I have 3 or no, I have 4. No, I have either 3 or 4. I'd have to go check. Quicksilvers. I'm going to be the only Quicksilver master in Marvel Snap just because I happen to open Quicksilvers. So like, hey, why not? Right? Like, that's where I'm going to landing on this. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Other important stuff. So clans eventually, and then clan competitions. Let's talk about clans, then we'll talk about the other things. Clans are basically like you create a group, and maybe there'll be like some competitions or goals you can complete as a group. What do you all think of clans? And in addition, 2 more questions. Are you starting one? If so, good for you. That's then just talk about that for a second. And if not, whose clan do you want to join? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think clans are fine. I to be honest, in I think the last game that I played that I was in a clan was World of Warcraft about 15 years ago. That's aging me a bit, but so it's fine. I think it'll be neat. I think it'll be very basic at first. That they wrote clans 1.0, so I think they want to emphasize that like don't expect a whole lot at first, and then they say they'll take feedback. Am I starting one? I don't know. We'll see when we get closer and they start announcing, really what's going to be the deal. We'll see. I probably won't. I don't need another thing in my life that I manage. So, what about you, Phil? What are you thinking?
Clans are fine. I am not someone who I love the idea of having like a friends list, someone that I can be like, oh, hey, Perry Manilow, do you want to do some games or some conquest battles, but head-to-head games, just some random draft or something. I like the idea of being able to do that in the game. That was always something with Hearthstone, being able to message friends and see if they want to play was nice. So I hope they get to that point eventually. But as far as the clan stuff overall, it depends on what they're asking of you to do in those competitions. And I always feel bad because I'm like, am I letting my clan down? Or am I not playing enough? But I think it's a cool idea, and I hope that it is a fun thing for people.
Yeah, similar thoughts. Would be nice to have clans. Like I know there are players out there who who they have formed a team and participate in like tournaments. So yeah, it's fun that if Marvel Snap is finally having clans, am I going to like have one? I'm not sure. Like, don't know how much time I need to commit. Yeah, would be like Phil said, would be nice to just like have a group of friends, but I don't know if I want to go to the competitive side of it to like win lots of games, like get the reward. Yeah, there's time commitment mostly.
Yeah. I like clans because they can't explicitly monetize it, so it kind of has to just be a free thing we do. But what it does do is it creates like a social incentive to get people to play the game more instead of like a monetary one. So it keeps people more invested because like Phil said, you like have to make sure you're playing enough for your clan to like be not let down. So like it keeps people playing the game that way, so it benefits them, but they can't actually literally take money out of my pocket with this like they can for all the previous things. So I'm okay with that. I am starting a clan. I've been informed by the Discord that I'm starting a clan, so I guess I'm starting a clan. So I'm going to start the most laid back, I don't give a shit if we actually accomplish anything clan in the world. Like, it's just going to be like, all right, you guys want to do this today? Let's do this today. You don't want to do this today? Let's not do this today. I don't actually give a shit. This is going to be an extra fun thing. Anything that increases, like, the best part of the game to me, like, my favorite thing to do is to either, like, I just bully my way onto my friend streams all the time. I'm like, put me on. Then we talk about the games. Like, I like playing, I don't know, well, let's call it co-op. I like playing co-op and, like, playing with people and against people, like, but, like, at the same time. That's my favorite thing to do in Snap, and this feels like a good way to get more of that even though I don't have all the time in the world for that. So I'm down for it. Cool. Booster vats of different sizes. Welcome to more ways for them to charge us. From tiny ones to Hulk-sized ones. God forbid they just gave us booster magnets like they said, right? Who wants to go first? Anyone? Go ahead.
Can somebody explain to me exactly what this is? I just didn't take the time, but I didn't quite understand it.
So they're basically going to say, like, you can buy, like, I mean, the way I'm understanding it is, like, you buy a bunch of fucking boosters for a card you want. I think that they gave it, like, a cool coat of paint, but that sure seems like what it is to me.
I mean, but we basically already can do that.
How?
I mean, you just pay to upgrade the card with gold.
Yeah. They'll give us like a real deal for these, though, right? Like that's the worst deal in the game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's just going to be like
from what I understand, it's like it's the way credits and gold are, right? Like there'd be different sizes of boosters that you could buy.
Yeah. Oh.
So do you buy them with either gold or or credits
or monies? Right, like.
Okay.
This doesn't, I mean, unless there's ways to, like, just earn them. Like, I'd be perfectly happy if it's like, you can earn a booster vat of your choice in, I mean, look, we sort of already have this, right? It's just completely random. It's in Conquest at the end of the month. So, like, I don't know. This one seems like, just give us the damn booster magnets. Like, you've told us about that for over a year at this point. Now you're like, but we can't monetize that, so, this instead. Ugh. Anything about this, or can we move to the cool one? All right. What new game mode do you want to see? Anyone? Go for it.
I'll say the obvious one. I mean, it's just fun. Draft mode. I mean, yes. I understand that they've kind of like, well, at least from what I've seen, when people bring it up, they're just kind of like, nah. But I mean, like, there's a reason these websites exist that allow us to do draft mode because people want to do it. It's so much fun. Are there other ones that I can't think of? Yeah, probably because I'm not that smart. But I know I like draft mode, so I want that.
Is draft mode where you get a set of cards that you have to pick 12 that works for you to make a deck?
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's variations of like how you're able to pick the cards. Like they give you 3 and you pick 1 and they give you another 3 or, you know, whatever. There's like different ways you can do it. But yeah, you're basically just trying to be strategic about making a deck out of quote unquote random cards. So it's fun. Sometimes you get screwed over, but you know, you kind of find different interactions maybe that you would never use or play cards that you would never play. That's kind of fun.
Interesting.
It's always risky trying to implement a new game mode because you're spreading out the player base and you always want to make sure you have enough people playing any given mode so where queue times aren't crazy. Draft mode seems like the obvious choice. And off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that I would love to see because we already have our quick game mode, which is just the standard ladder. And then we have the longer form stuff and we can play with friends. So those 3 things to me, they have the core. Now it's just finding other ways to make it fun. And a draft mode would definitely keep things fresh, especially if they did an arena style thing for it. But that also might be a lot of work. So will we see random draft and friend draft where you play against a friend and you play against a random person? And then what will be tied to it? Is it going to be a conquest style match? Is it going to be just a ladder match? There's so many variables to that I think need to be sorted out before they toss out a draft mode. But that's really the only thing that I can think of that might add something fresh to the formula.
So I want draft badly. They also teased a 2v2 mode I'd be fine with. What I think would be cool, which I literally thought of while we were all talking, I want spectator mode, but I want gambling on the spectator mode.
Oh.
Yeah? At 2 given points, like almost poker, like at 2 given points in a match, you can like gamble some cubes on it or whatever, some rank on it.
That
I think
would
that'd be
fun.
super fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, imagine that for Twitch streamers. It would blow them away.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Like you have to get your bets in by the end of turn 3 or something like that.
Right. And you can, like, you have to bet before the game, right? Like, you just get
before the game, yeah.
And then at turn 3, you can raise, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Raise or fold. Like, that'd be so fun. I'm going to actually pitch that to them, I think.
I like that.
Yeah. All right.
What about you?
Oh, anything else?
I was just going to say, Jess, did you have any thoughts on game modes?
No. I think draft mode would be the one that I want.
So good.
Phil?
All right. Phil?
I just wanted to say, is this the last of the roadmap stuff?
Yeah.
Are first editions dead?
Yeah.
Is that just,
I mean,
like, being that that's not on the roadmap anymore, I feel like they're going to let that die, right?
Can they charge us for first editions anymore? Like, I'm not kidding. That's what they were there for, right? They were like, please buy these cards right away. Correct, spend the money. So, like,
spend the tokens.
Yeah. So, like, now it seems to be like, if they can't monetize it, they don't seem to be doing it. Like, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't actually care, again, that they monetize things that aren't card acquisition at all. But, like, most of their stuff is like, we need a publisher, so we better be turning in profit.
Yeah, I don't really care either way with first edition stuff. It's just, it always comes up every time roadmaps get talked about. And I thought it was very interesting that it just was nowhere to be found on this roadmap at all.
Yeah. Oh, poor Brownie. All right. Let's actually skip this one because it's super freaking late. All right, let's go to our patch. We've got a nerf to Loki. Loki is now a 4/6 and now transforms your hand into cards from your opponent's starting deck and gives them -1 cost. Which is to say it doesn't work with Collector. What do we think of the new Loki? Jess?
It's still a cost reduction, and it will still work with Twin Jet, so I think Loki will still be strong. Not as strong, but will still be insane.
Master?
Yeah, I must be the luckiest person in the world when it comes to Loki because I just didn't have a problem playing against him. I mean, people would beat me with Loki occasionally or some of the time, but enough people complain about it that it must have been a little bit of a problem. So I could see the change. It's a little bit of a bummer. It makes me not interested in playing Loki now, to be honest. I mean, but it's fine. I mean, it's probably a warranted change.
Phil?
So I think you're still putting power into the Collector if you get him down early enough, because you're still using cards like Snow Guard, you're still using cards like Mirage and whatnot. And sure, you're not going to be getting, 16 power Collectors, but you never should have been getting that to begin with. I mean, we should be happy with like a 2/6, a 2/5, a 2/7. But is this the fundamental change that's going to break Loki? No, I think this is going to make him more balanced. I personally still think that him turning 1 costs into 0 is kind of one of my things that I'm like, oh man, because there's always that extra card that I forget about that he could get that puts that extra 2 power in a lane that I forgot about because he could play it for 0. But I think this at least puts him more into a balanced range to where he feels like a good card instead of an absolutely broken card.
Everybody? Yeah, that's my working theory. I think he's good. I think he's just not broken, and I'll take good instead of broken, so whatever. Ms. Marvel is now... Okay, she's exactly the same, except instead of 1 card of different cost at each location, you need 2. Is she still the best card in the game? Is she terrible? Is she somewhere in between? Jess?
I actually have a question. So when it says 2+ card, does it mean 2 or more cards?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
okay.
3 and 4 still work, just as long as it's not 1 or 0.
Right. Yeah. I think she would still be quite strong because, there are lots of decks that you can still play Miss Marvel mid and then have like two cards on like left and right lane, such as like the Saku Dark Hawk Leech deck that people played last season, and also the Sarah Tech decks. Like it's not hard to put two cards different cost on both lanes. So I think she is still strong. Even they said that they nerfed her. The only deck that won't work with this nerf is the Ram deck where you try to. Do people still play the Professor X and Miss Marvel that lane? That will not work, right?
Yeah, that will. I mean, but you can play Ms. Marvel and then play Professor X on top of Ms. Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that would work. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, she is still pretty strong with this nerf. What do we think?
Yeah, I think she's just taken down a notch slightly. I mean, most of the time you're playing two cards into a lane when you're playing Miss Marvel. You do lose those fringe cases where you're only playing one card or you get a bad draw and you can't get things out. But I think it's fine. The one thing that I'm annoyed by, and it's not actually Miss Marvel, it's I feel like it's a double nerf to Professor X. You brought up Professor X. Because now, if you can't even try to do Professor X and use Miss Marvel with him. I just don't understand why they nerfed him, and then now they're making this change. I feel like he can still be a 3-power, and it would be fine. So it's a side tangent because it doesn't have to do with Miss Marvel, but I just think it's weird.
Did you forget that Jeff exists?
Sure. I don't know. Again, maybe I have a different perspective, but I wasn't getting tilted at Professor X. It was just a strategy.
So that's not why they change cards, like, ever. They hit whatever the best deck is. It doesn't matter whether it's broken or not. Like, whatever, they just want variety. And, like, again, like, we can be generous and think that they just want the game to be really dynamic, or we can be cynical and say that they want the best deck to constantly be churning because it means you're more likely to buy new cards. Right? Like, it's probably some combination thereof.
Yeah,
but
for
if Professor X is the best thing, that's a Series 2 card that's been around forever. And, like, they don't want it to be the best thing for too long. So now it's not.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
So for me, even in a ramp style deck, if you have Nebula, if you have Jeff, you're still putting 2 cards over in the lane you're probably going to put Professor X in. And things like Thanos easily drop 2 cards into a lane. I don't think this is going to be as big of a deal as people initially. I heard your rumblings on X or Twitter. I think it's going to be pretty much fine. The thing that makes me sad is it's a weird side nerf to cards like Orca and to Namor, who literally can't have a second card in that lane to get the power. So instead of having 21 power in a lane, now you're just stuck at 16 power for Orca. And I just don't feel like, especially in the blob meta, that's good enough. I don't feel like Orca is, I mean, sometimes you get that fringe case where that 16 power wins you that lane, but it was nice to have the extra option of something like Miss Marvel to throw 5 extra power into that lane and buff it just a little bit. We were talking about High Evolutionary earlier, where they can just drop an Infinite in that lane and, GG's. So I feel like they really need to do something with the Orca and the Namor style cards, whether it's, they get -1 for each extra card in that location or something, but they need something to help play out their usability.
So this doesn't affect the power at the end of the game, but it does affect something during the game. It means that during the course of the game, Miss Marvel is the best priority tool in Marvel Snap by an awful lot, and now she's not that. And that being able to play one or two cards there and move that in and out to gain or lose priority is going to be a much different game now that there's a larger requirement for her ability. And I think that's going to fundamentally change how the card plays out. And while you'll have the same power at the end of the game, I think it makes her significantly worse when you can't use her as a tool to always guarantee yourself priority, which in turn makes Alioth better, and then has like 1,000 ripple effects throughout the meta that like I'm not smart enough to actually figure out all of yet, but that's going to be a fundamental change in how Marvel Snap is played. And I think that like this is probably not enough because she's still a 4/15, and at the end of the game 4/15 is still busted. Like if you're dropping her with Zabu and Darkhawk at the end of the game, nothing has changed, right? But for the early game plays where you're just trying to set yourself up for like when you're trying to get that storm going, and then you know if you can be winning that storm lane because you've got her as Marvel and Storm, right? Like at that point, once you've got that set up, you know that you've probably got priority for the rest of the game, and now you can play around with that. That being gone, I think, is going to change the play patterns fairly significantly. Go for it.
That's something that I didn't think about, because I was thinking about it from the core getting her power out there aspect of that being not super hard to do, but the idea of how you're going to be playing it to make sure you do or don't have priority in a specific lane is very interesting.
So I was speaking with Lauren the other day, and our big like the whole reason I thought of this, because it's not something I thought of, was she thinks Alioth is bad design because in general it should be better to so if you're winning, then you shouldn't get more benefit for winning because you're already winning, right? So the benefit should be on losing priority, which is what cards like Shang-Chi do, right? I think that Second Dinner thinks that's too straightforward of an outlook, is fundamentally my argument. They don't want you to be able to just say, all right, if I can play from behind and play a strategy like Hitmonkey, there's no danger to it. So I think that it's like a complicated thing that like now that Alioth exists is something that we have to like constantly keep in mind with card design. No? Okay. Everyone's just nodding. So we're going to go to Annihilus. Annihilus is a 5/5 now instead of a 5/7, and it doesn't move 0 cost cards. The card has to actually have negative ability for it to move. Let's start with the Master Nut. What do you think of the new Annihilus?
Yeah, it's interesting. It really does change a lot for him. I didn't play a whole lot of Annihilus, but I've had a lot of Annihilus played against me. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think what you said earlier, that they're looking at this as something for the future, probably makes a whole lot of sense, because I didn't personally think he was broken or anything. So there must be a plan that they're enacting. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts.
So you're now giving your opponent less trash because you're not giving them 0. But I think there are ways to build around it. For example, you can debris hazmat the rock and make the rock become negative and send it over. So, yeah, like the power is less, so it's a nerf, but I think you can still make decks that works for how the new Annihilus is going to work.
Phil?
Yeah, so I think that this is a good change, because for me, I was always kind of sad when your board is entirely clogged by turn 5 because they throw over Annihilus and you don't have any space to play, or you're throwing things down because you know a bunch of stuff is going to come over and clog your lane. So I like the fact that my opponent has to work a little bit harder. Like Jess said, playing something like Hazmat actually has a purpose now because it gives you the ability to send over those rocks. Or something like Man-Thing, you play Man-Thing, now you can send over those rocks. And it creates more of a purpose for you as the player playing a nihilist to try and make your junk useful to throw over, instead of just having this thing to clog your opponent's board and hope you have enough power to beat them out, and then they just have to retreat.
It's possible that Caiera is the card that was broken with a nihilist, or against a nihilist rather, where like if we had time, maybe we should actually be testing this now, I guess, but like who cares, it's 3 days. But like if you play Debris, your opponent plays Caiera, and then they play a nihilist, they're in a lot of trouble. Right? Like that might just be it. All right. Because I went and checked the the February cards, and there's nothing that immediately jumps out as like a problem with a nihilist. So like it could just be Caiera plus like now you're just stuck with 2 spaces per game, right? Like once people get the hang of it in all the different locations, and that seems like it's probably not healthy. Assuming you want people to play Caiera, which obviously they do, right?
That makes sense.
Right. Dracula is now a 4/1, but he's additive, not replacement. So it now gains the power of whatever it discards. Phil.
I like this, but I also have... it's a cool buff for Dracula. I don't know if it was actually needed, but it also has some interesting implications gameplay-wise, being that he actually does carry negative effects. You can't just throw him in Jotunheim and have him just tank all of that negative power and then expect your 16 power Apocalypse to come out as 16 power. It'll be more like 12 power, which is still great. But it is a very interesting change, and I'm intrigued to see how it changes Dracula play, if at all. But it is going to be fun for lanes where you can build power, like the one that gives you +1 after each turn, or the one that gives you +2 after turn 5. And then have that extra 2 power kind of banked, towards the end of the game.
Jess?
Definitely an interesting buff. I don't know why they do this to Dracula, but yeah, like Phil said, you can now put Dracula in location like Mirror Island. I don't know if you would put him there because you will expect Dracula to discard something really huge. I don't know. I've no comment on this buff on Dracula. Must or not?
Yeah, it's an interesting. It makes me uncomfortable because the 1 power quote unquote buff really isn't the focus. It's the focus is on the change of the text because of just it's a different card now, really. So it's a little, it just feels a little odd. We'll get used to it, but yeah, you can't do things like the Jotunheim trick or Jotunheim, however you say it, and not get the benefit at the end. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I've been kind of mulling it over since I saw it, and I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable.
Because like usually when you play Dracula, you hope you will discard something really big, right? So if you play it on Jotunheim, on turn 4, that's a 4/1, so that's a -1 at the end of the game. And you will still discard something pretty big to win that lane, so I just don't know how much different it is going to get.
Yeah. I don't have a take on this. This feels like it's like a sideways buff and sideways nerf at the same time, right? Like
exactly.
So like cool. Let's see how it plays.
It's fine.
Yeah. Like the other stuff, I can figure out some theory behind. This feels like a thing they did just to do, and I don't know, right? Like I can't figure out what the hell they're doing.
And I think that's what I mean when I say it makes me feel uncomfortable, because it's just kind of like, I don't really see the purpose of it. It's just, yeah, it's sideways. So at any rate.
Right. Angel will now fly from hand, not just deck, both hand and deck. So now he's a bad card in a new way. What do we think of Angel?
Angel.
Go ahead, Jess.
Reborn. I just think that for like players like us, if we have almost complete with our collection, there's like no difference whether we will play Angel or not in our destroy deck. We won't pick Angel as a choice. But for people, maybe they're still collecting pool 1 or pool 2 cards, Angel might be a choice for them. Like for us, we have a lot of like 1-drops that are better than Angel. So the impact's not on us for the new players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my thought is for new players, I think Angel is actually a card now instead of something you almost immediately drop. That way they have something before they start getting things like Deadpool, Nico, cards that actually, I mean, the destroy decks are so tight with the 1-drops that they have now. Forge, Deadpool, and then Nico, and then X23. I mean, the idea of adding another 1-drop to that is crazy for pool 3+ builds. But for those pool 3 and below builds, I think at least now it's a card. Now it's a card that actually feels functional, and you don't have to spend anything to get the 2 power on the board.
Yeah, and I won't go on and on, but I mean, if we get a draft mode someday, I'm going to be happy if I end up playing an Angel that it has this text instead of the previous text. So it's a good change. It's not a great card is the problem.
Quake now becomes, on reveal, swap the positions of the other 2 locations.
I'm grabbing the drummer Quake.
Nice.
I've never played Quake. Some people had success with Quake. I think the new ability is definitely like super interesting. Like I can't wait to try Quake. The new Quake. I don't know like what. I can't think of. Or maybe you can try. It just seems like the new ability makes Quake more playable. Compared to the last one, much more playable.
Just nodding? Oh, go ahead, Phil.
So the biggest change here for me is the fact that it's no longer needed to play at the middle location. And that means that you have a little bit of control over the 2 locations that are swapped. So, we always used to play it to kind of flip-flop for Nexus, right? And sometimes it would go your way and sometimes it wouldn't because it was completely random. But if it's the 2 other locations, now you can kind of build around that. And sure, it might feel telegraphed as people get used to it. But having things like putting -3 power into a certain lane that has 4 cards on it, all of a sudden you're taking 12 power away from that lane while you drop 1 big card. So the functionality of the card has been increased quite a bit. Does it make it a good card?
Yes.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Definitely better. Did you say yes?
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. But I'm very, very excited to check it out and to play it. And it feels like a functional card now to me, at least, seeing the text until we get to play with it. It'll be interesting to see how it's used practically. But I do have a lot of ideas swirling around on how to use it.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't so much of a new idea for the card that they came up as something that maybe in the design process they put this restriction on it for the middle location to correct it or whatever, and in reality it never needed that. That's what it feels like to me, that they're they're setting things straight to what it should have been to begin with. So it's a good change, and I think it'll be a good card.
It's going to be a great card. Like, just storm and then watch them try and fill that storm location.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 1s in Quake, right? Like, you just play Quake in the middle, that flips, you play the other 2 cards in the other place, and you enjoy yourself, right? Like, storm 1. They drop a Shuri. You've got priority and Quake. Never mind, right? Like, it's just... Quake will be great. Like, they're stacking up you have Quake. They're stacking up things in the +5 power Nidavellir. They're stacking up things in Nidavellir, right? Because they know that that's how they're going to win. You play in the other location and just flip it when you're ready. Like, there's just it's not Legion, but it's not much worse. This card's going to be phenomenal. Like, you can do it. You can do this on the last turn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, you could also utilize Storm and have them put a bunch of power into that lane and then flip it yourself on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do anything you want. It's completely insane. It's locations will never be the same. You can't, like, trying to take advantage of a Onslaught Citadel, right? Or protect a Limbo with a Cosmo. No, that Limbo's over here, thank you. Turn 4, Quake and Scarlet Witch. Have a great day. Like, it's just like there's just a bajillion things you can do. This card's going to be completely insane. Like, I think this is going to be like an auto-include, one of the best cards in the game. This feels like the kind of buff they have to walk back like they did Snowguard.
Or it could also
increase cost or something.
Like Luke's Bar, if you're ahead in another location and you flip.
You can just play everything you want in Luke's Bar, right? Just drop things in Luke's Bar as free as you want, as they avoid it, right? Like, and then just flip it at the end of the game. Like, what are they? Yeah, like, how do they stop that?
Like you just mentioned, Snowguard. Snowguard's effect works both ways. Where this is singularly for you. Because you know where the locations are going to go and what the locations are. And it's not as one note as something like, oh my gosh, what's this? Legion, that is changing every location to a certain location.
You play into a location with Sanctum on the board, right? And they snap knowing that your deck can't get in there. But now that location is not there, right? Like, you have 3 cards in Sanctum all of a sudden, then you have 2 more playable locations. Death's Domain with priority is the easy one. Like, there's just a bajillion, right? Like, they start trying to stack things into your island, but now they just stacked 3 cards, like, or they filled a weak location, or the Hulk location, right? Like, it's like, no, that's not there. Thanks for putting all those cheap cards. Like, Quake is like it's harder for me to think of fail cases than use cases, which means it's probably pretty fucking good. Also, I was inclined to think Quake was good already. One of the members of my Discord, who's just like an awesome player in person, Keen Koala, hits Infinite with Quake every season and then posts his Infinite deck every season. So, yeah. Like, I already have been good with Quake, and, like, that was when I had to guess what it was going to do.
Is he the one that plays the Quake Storm combo?
At Stake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what made me think about the Storm thing when you were talking about it. Is him, because he when he told me, I tweeted about it when I saw that, because it blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, the idea that you could just storm a lane and then flip it on somebody is just so much fun. And it was always just the restriction of it being the middle lane that kept her from being broken, and now she's going to be broken.
Yeah,
I said I didn't know if she was going to be good, but I knew she was going to be better. But now that you've said all of that, it's like, yeah, okay,
like,
she's going to be
like
broken.
Just think of locations, right? Like, think of any locations, right? Like, when do you not want to be able to screw with that on demand with opponents?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. That is a really good point.
Like, it's just the no. Oh god, I'm just going to keep listing them. Let's go to Kingpin. All right, Kingpin is now a 2/3. When an enemy card moves here, afflict it with -2 power. Is this a card now? It's any turn. Jessica.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I think we want to go
first. My bad.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead. Yes, I think that Kingpin is a card now. At the very least, it's fun to pull everything over, with different cards, whether it's Polaris and you're pulling over somebody's Deadpool and suddenly making it a -1. There's definitely some fun use cases for it where, I mean, it was barely playable originally. Every once in a while, you got the fun Magneto play where you brought, Miss Marvel and a couple other big 3 or 4 cost cards over and destroyed them and laughed on turn 6. But it was so restrictive the way it was before. Now it can be any turn. You're just afflicting it with -2 as you move stuff over. Obviously, it can hurt cards like Spider-Man, but at least Spider-Man's not dying now. It's just getting -2, but that's a parallel effect, so it's not good or bad.
Well,
but I think it'll have.
You don't lose your own power; it only affects enemies.
Oh my gosh! I just read that as you said that. Enemy cards. Oh my god! that makes it infinitely much better. Wow. Yeah, if you were doing Silky Smooth and somebody else was playing the same deck, then they would be getting negative power where you'd be getting positive power. I mean, it's definitely a card now. I don't know if I would say it's like crazy good, but it's definitely something that's playable.
I don't know. I just feel like, it's making it more playable, but the ability doesn't go with the character of Kingpin, like in my opinion. Like Kingpin kills, he destroys. I guess, I don't know, like joining Disney Plus has made him more friendly. So he just afflicts power. He doesn't kill anymore.
It's definitely less thematic, sure. Like,
yeah, I agree with that. That's very true. But
yeah,
he was just so bad before. Right.
Yeah, he was. But I do. It's a play that I love where you have Kingpin and then the location was New York, and you can always get the cheeky wins by moving Kingpin to New York, and then your opponents can't all get destroyed on turn 6. That was so good. But I mean, yeah, Kingpin would be more playable now. I like the change, but I just feel like, Kingpin feels like he is strong and he kills, and now it's just weakening by 2.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah, it just feels like, to me, it's a card that didn't excite me, and now it doesn't excite me slightly less. That's about it.
Well put. All right. That is our discussion for today. We are on to variants of the week. I chose Namor because Namor exists in Marvel Snap for exactly 1 week. This is that week. After this week, he doesn't work with Ms. Marvel. Before this week, he didn't have Skaar to be good with. So this is the 1 week we can ever talk about Namor on it. So we've got our favorite Namor variants. Jess, tell us about this Namor variant you chose.
Okay, so this is my favorite Namor variant because, first of all, I like Peach Momoko's art. I think she is a very talented artist. She has her unique art style. I actually did not buy this card because I just never played Namor, but I do see people who bought it on Twitter, X. The animation of the waves is awesome. I think it just goes so well with the infinity border, and he looks different from what Masternauts and Phil chose. He kind of looked depressed, or he's in a deep thought or something.
That's hot, sad boy.
He just looks so special in this one, so I picked him. The Peach Momoko variant.
All right, the Masternaut. Which is yours?
Yeah, mine's the. It's just called variant. I don't think it has a special name, but it's the one with the. I think I described it when I was talking to you on Discord as coral tentacles coming around him. Mostly, I like it because I used to have a saltwater fish tank, and it just reminds me of that, a tropical saltwater fish tank, which is always so neat, with the reflection of the water on top. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I just like it.
Phil?
So I chose the Phoenix 5 variant because of fire sharks. I mean,
yes,
obviously. The animation on this one I just absolutely love, with the flames dancing around and the background kind of moving and the sharks floating in front. I do think he has a weird finger. I'll point that out. It's a very strange finger. But other than that, the animation is really fun. And I absolutely love the color. It's such a big difference when you're looking at the Namor variants and the color palettes for them, because it's this bright orange, which you don't really expect to see for this water-based character, and fire sharks.
So, did you know that sharks are older than either trees or grass?
Oh.
I heard this the other day, actually.
Did you know that sharks are older than the literal actual North Star?
No.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Someone told me the tree thing, so I googled what are sharks older than, and I read all that, and then I was like, "There's no way it's older." Yep, they're older than the physical actual star of the North Star.
That's absolutely crazy.
Wow.
Yes. So fire sharks for the win.
Definitely.
All right, let's keep it going. We come to our final segment. Phil, tell our listeners why they should follow you on Twitter, and eventually on whatchamacallit, on Twitch.
Because I have bad takes and they're fun to read, and then it's fun to watch the trolls troll me in the comments and laugh as things ensue. Seriously though, I have so much fun with the Marvel Snap community and interacting with all of the wonderful people that I've been able to interact with, and all the people that I've been able to meet through this. I'd just love to have more people to do that with. I followed the Masternaut because of this podcast, and I can't wait to follow his feed and watch some of his streams, and hang out on the Xverse, which sounds weird. I'm going to say Twitterverse. Just the more people we get in this community, I feel like the better it's going to be. And I'd love to follow you and have you follow me. And sometimes I make fun decks that get featured on, a certain show that you watched, hopefully.
So, yeah, that's my show, by the way. All right, my turn. I'm going to talk good about you now. Ready? So, Twitter is a hell site. X is somehow worse than Twitter. There is almost no one that I only interact with on Twitter that I like. I have to interact with you somewhere else. If I interact with you only on Twitter, it makes me sad. Phil is the only exception to that. He's like the only person on that giant landscape of hell site that makes me smile and not hate it. I have to be on there because content creation, but Phil makes me not hate being on there. So if you're on the hell site, please follow Phil. You will feel good about it.
Oh.
All right. Next up, we have Jess. Jess, why should people subscribe to you?
I post like everything about Marvel Snap, and sometimes I make fun contents, like memes. I love to make memes to make people laugh. Also, I have started to draw my own emotes, and I do post my new emotes on Twitter, X. So if you want to see my new emotes, like follow me. And I also try my best to like reply your tweets. So yeah. And people often say like I'm like pretty chill, like happy to talk like to me. Like so if you like a relaxed vibe, like definitely follow me and also come watch my stream.
So I want to talk about your Twitch because I've been told for about 6 months that I need to get you on the show and I need to watch your streams like for months and months and months and months. This isn't like new, but you're on the other side of the world and we're both teachers. So like our schedules are literally like pure clash. So I was off this week and I was on your stream a few times and I lurked a few times and I actually talked a couple times.
I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't. So the weirdest thing in the world. This is not this segment, but the weirdest thing in the world to me is when I go on people's Twitch streams, and they're like, "Oh my god, Glazer!" I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's so weird." Like, why do people know who I am in this game? That's so weird. Like, I'm not mad. Like, right? Like, it's cool in a way, but like, it's just like, who the hell? What? Dude, I'm just a guy. All right, whatever. Not here or there. But I was told I would love your stream, and like, it took me like 5 minutes to go, oh, I get this. Like, there's no facade. There's nothing hidden. This is just like you chilling, playing a game, and like everyone there is just so relaxed, right? Like, I don't want to say names, but like a lot of people's Twitch streams feel like yelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like if they're not yelling, the chat is yelling, and like, no, your stream is just cool. Like, it's fun to be a part of. You feel at home right away. It's like, it made me sad that I can't be there all the time. And I'm planning on spending a lot of my summer hanging out in your stream because like you're a star, like genuinely a star. Like sometimes you watch someone stream, you're like, oh, you're just gonna be huge, cool. So yeah, you're gonna be huge, except that you have a full-time job and you don't have time to be huge.
Yeah, and also I want to say like thank you for arranging me in like today's podcast because like if it's next week, it's never gonna happen because I will go back to work. So thank you so much for working around the schedule for me to be here.
I wanted you on as soon as we figured out how to do it. All right,
thank you.
And the master knot, my friend, go for it.
Well, now I just want to go check out Jess's stream.
You should.
That's all I want to do. Yeah, I plan on it. I've followed them both, so. Yeah, I mean, I like how you said, I'm just a guy. That's how I feel. I'm just a guy. I stream because it's fun. And I stream because of the Marvel Snap community. I had a couple of false starts streaming in the past with like Minecraft and things like that. But as soon as I started streaming Snap, I was just like, this is so much fun. This community is so much fun. And it's just about hanging out with people. The one thing I will say is that I've kind of made myself the giveaway guy, and I've embraced it. I was a little afraid of that at first because I was worried about people would just think I was trying to like entice people to come watch, and that's definitely a factor of it, right? You do a giveaway hoping people will show up, but they are the funnest streams. We have so much fun when we have giveaway streams. So I do a lot of giveaways. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, we chill. We just have a chill stream. I'm not the greatest player, so we're there just to have fun playing the game and enjoy it together.
So, ready? You fit into an exact category of stream, and I know exactly what category of stream you are for me. Like, there's a certain stream that I go to hang out in. You're the type of person that I will be bullying to come on stream at some point. Just be forewarned. I'm going to be in chat like, let me on. Your stream reminds me, not the same person, you're very different as a person, but like the same type of vibe as like Robos or like Prashans or Obies, or like you fit in, or Tux. Like you fit in with that group of like just really like cool people that seems like a buddy at all times. Like it's just so so if I'm keywording streams, right? Jess's is peace, right? Like it's just peaceful. Like it feels good. And yours is friendship. It feels like you're hanging out with friends. And so like
I love that.
It feels like it's a really great place, and it feels like, and I don't know everyone in your stream. There's some streams I go to and like I'm just like, oh, I know these people. Like I don't know everyone in your stream, but you can tell that everyone likes each other and it's really friends. And I love that.
Great. I love to hear that.
Right. And with that, we are going to end today's show. Thank you so much for watching for so long, listening for so long, whatever it is you do. Please, please, please follow our guests. Please, please, please follow our guests. Sorry, I've been talking for a few hours now. My voice died on me. You will not regret it. You have my actual word on that. They are excellent. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at SnapJessnapz, and don't forget to check out Marvel Snap Zone for all your Marvel Snap needs. Thanks for joining us, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me, and nice to meet you, Masternaut and Phil and Glazer. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
An absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Masternaut.
Oh, thank you so much. And likewise, it was really nice to meet everybody.
And awesome to have you, Phil.
I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while. And it's because I haven't been on a podcast in a little bit. But it's not going to make any sense to you guys. But I just want to say, everybody listening, you're all pretty good. And thank you so much for having me on the show. And this was so much fun. It was so much fun to meet all you guys. And yeah, it's so great to interact with the community on a different level. So thank you so much for having me.
All right. I've got to thank our patrons, and then we're saying goodbye because I promised. So thank you to Models, Pretty Chill, Fother Newman, Inc., NoFlex, Mandatory Burnout, Matt Conduit 23, Josh Apodaca, Caretix Lee, Mikey Hijinks, Rob Silverman, Matt H., Robert Rivern, Abigail Giesland, Direwolf, Ocularis, Louis Antunes, JD McDonaldinho, and Min Eugen, which I definitely just said wrong. Appreciate your support. Appreciate everyone's support. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for another Snap Take, and keep on snapping.